Hello and welcome. A couple weeks ago, I had a discussion with a popular Muslim TikToker, Adel Ghadban. I was live streaming on TikTok, and he was in the comments asking me to, go on and do a live with him. I made it very clear I wasn't interested in debating, but I was very curious about what he had to ask me. So, without any further ado, here's the discussion. I have no commentary on it at the moment. I haven't even rewatched it since, but people have been asking me to post it, so enjoy.
What watching one of Adel's live be like?
Yeah.
Got the snacks.
Yeah.
Losing brain cells one live at a time.
You don't have to worry. He knows what you.
Hello.
How's it going?
Alhamdulillah, man. How are you?
Not bad, not bad.
So, like I was saying, man, see you a lot on the live.
Yeah, well, I tend to multitask sometimes, and I keep telling people to talk to me about anything else, and conversations do get interesting, but they always come back to, prove to me why you left Islam and so on and so forth. So it always comes back to that.
Okay, but don't you feel like you've said it before in the past? Hey, I have so many hobbies, so many things I do, but we don't see any of that on your social media. So why would you think that somebody would speak to you about something else, right?
Well, I do talk to them about other stuff, especially science is an interest of mine. And I am trying to incorporate more of my hobbies, but unfortunately, some of the stuff will easily identify where I live, like very easily. So that's the only reason why. Um, yeah, but you'll be seeing more and more about some things I'm interested in doing on my account. Every now and then you'll find a video that's not about Islam, but yeah.
Okay. So how's
Yeah.
your your girl? It's been a while. I didn't see her neither. I don't know if she's banned or blocked or I don't know.
My
What's her
girl.
name? Name's that other girl that hides her face. I don't know. I forgot. What was her name? Uh, what was her name, guys? Chat. The other girl. Noodle. Yeah. What's her name? Noodle. Miss Noodle. Yeah, she disappeared off of social media.
Infidel Noodle? No, no, she's there. She's been making more YouTube videos. Um, yeah, she's been a little away from TikTok as far as I know, but she's doing all right.
I seen you also giving a bit of fatwas here and there, which I found very interesting. But sometimes you
Oh,
say,
like what?
I'm not qualified, but sometimes you give a bit of fatwas. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm like,
Like what fatwas?
I've seen somebody asking you, hey, is this halal in Islam? You're like, yeah, well, there's a difference of opinion. I'm like, oh, dropping the difference of opinions. They'd be like, yeah, I'm not. What was the question somebody asked you yesterday? I forgot. And you're like, yeah, there's a difference of opinion. Some Muslims will say yes, some Muslims will say no. Uh,
Yeah, that's not
so
me issuing a fatwa, is it? That's the opposite. That's me not taking a side on it.
no,
I'm
like
telling you what I. Yeah.
I'm very curious, man. So what's the end goal of two lives a day, 3 hours a day, talking about something you don't believe in anymore, kind of not important for you anymore?
You're still hounding that point back, aren't you? All right. So, like I've explained, just the past couple of days, I've been doing live streams a little more. I'm testing some stuff out, multitasking. I think you're focusing on that a little too much, but if you're asking what's the point of my TikTok channel in general, I can answer that. So, one part of it is just to normalize being able to talk about Islam in whatever way we'd like. I know that sounds a bit like it's on the offensive, but that's not the purpose of it here. Very often we hear your point of view, right? And every Muslim's point of view. And there's nothing taboo about coming out and talking about this issue in Islam or that as a Muslim. But as soon as you hear an ex-Muslim talk about it or just talk about their journey leaving Islam or whatever it is, it's seen as if like you shouldn't be talking about it, You just need to shut up and move on. Don't you think that that is the approach that you preach towards ex-Muslims?
It's not necessarily this is why I left Islam. Is again, I know you don't want to like to talk about it, but it's the having a TikTok account talking about every single aspects of it. It's something like, hey, I left this behind, but every day I'm going to speak to you about what I've left behind. And and it also seems like you're not giving an alternative. Like if you if you wanted to actually help Muslims in a way that you found something better, to present to us what you found better. It's very weird to say, hey, don't eat chocolate, but then when we ask you for a dessert, you're like, don't eat chocolate. We're like, okay, but what do we eat? You're like, just don't eat chocolate. And we're like, okay, then
But that's not
present
what I
us the
do.
alternative.
That's not what I do though. Like people do ask me, so
But what
what
is
do
the
you believe now that
alternative?
you've left
Leave
Islam?
Islam for what? Because I know you
No,
believe in
that's the
God.
thing.
What is
You
the
don't have to
alternative?
leave Islam for something. You don't have to leave Islam for something. There doesn't have to be an alternative. But if you're the kind of person who needs, like, who can't find a purpose in life without a higher power kind of thing, then there's a lot of soul searching to do.
But
And
you
I
believe,
don't have to give you
right?
that. Yeah.
I know that you believe in a higher power. That's why I'm asking you specifically, where Infidel
Not
Noodle doesn't.
exactly. Yeah. No, I keep answering that question about a higher power. Look, sorry, the music's still on. Um, I don't know if there's a higher power or not, but I know, and that's why I don't have, I don't spend a lot of time with these arguments and debates about the existence of a creator or a first cause or whatever. Let's just presume there is. Like, I start from that presumption. The part that I have contentions with is there is a God and he wants this, this, and that. This is the part that there's issue with. So I don't care to prove or disprove a creator. That's my take on that.
Okay, maybe I got it wrong because I hear you sometimes saying, oh, I do believe in God, but Islam is not the religion of God wanting. Like, God wouldn't want us to
No,
be Muslim.
that's not no. And here's another way I put it sometimes. If God does exist, let's just presume he does. I always say it as a presumption. I think he would be better than this description. Otherwise God in this description, God with his 99 names, you must add another name or two that has to do with like being more cunning or lying. Otherwise it doesn't fit. Like I think that if God were to fit all these descriptions, he wouldn't be the God in Islam. That's just my opinion on it.
Because Islam, what like leads to bad? You're kind of like
No,
because that's bad.
not necessarily, but because of a lot of things in Islam. Like, okay, let's talk about a very basic concept in Islam: a kafir, right?
Okay,
A kafir is how would you define a kafir?
anybody who rejects the truth.
Right? What is the truth? That
Islam.
rejects Islam, basically.
Somebody was presented with Islam
So,
and would reject it. Yeah.
so reject it meaning that, like they know it's the truth, but they're rejecting it, or they just flat saying no, they don't believe it. Like,
Yeah, there's difference of opinion among scholars, but let's just say for the sake of this, like somebody who flat out rejects the truth,
but
disbeliever,
here's the
anybody who
thing.
disbelieves.
Okay, so I really wanted to get to the bottom of what is a kafir, what is a disbeliever, right? Not in the sense of who can I, do takfir on. I don't care about that. So a disbeliever, a kafir, is someone. It comes from kufr, right? Like what was it? Concealing the truth.
Yeah,
But in this case,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm giving you. Yeah,
So
okay, go ahead.
So if that's all good, here you're implying that the person who has gotten this truth from you knows it's the truth and then knowingly covers it, and that's a disbeliever, a kafir. Is that true?
You could almost say he's a non-Muslim, like anybody who disbelieves in the truth. I'm saying there is a difference of opinion. Some scholars do say that for somebody to be the word kafir, he has to know it's the truth and reject it, or be presented with the truth and reject it.
Okay, but rejecting it means that the word rejecting implies that you know it's the truth and you're rejecting it on purpose. Like you're saying no to it. Is it the same as rejecting 2 plus 2
So
equals
somebody could be
5? I
careless.
will reject that.
I could
Sorry?
explain Islam to somebody, and he could reject it out of laziness. He could reject it out of, khalas, he just doesn't care. Like it doesn't necessarily mean like the guy sat down, thought about it. Because I do sincerely believe anybody who would sit down and think about it, who would be a Muslim. A lot of people are just careless. Some people do it out of arrogance. Some people do it out of, just carelessness.
But don't you realize that this is just a story? Like I used to hear this as a Muslim. It's been heard from even Abu Lahab is supposedly one of those kafirs that knows God exists, but he's just how do you say? He's just stubborn-headed. But that's just a plot point. Like I've never met someone who sat with me and told me, "Look, brother, I'm not a Muslim because I'm too lazy to pray anymore, and I know Allah exists and I'm going to hell, but I just don't want to do it." That case doesn't happen. At least
Because
not commonly.
Ghadban does not let you just not pray, and it's a build-up. It's almost like you need to convince yourself Islam is not the truth because you feel bad for the actions you're not doing. Like, why would a person who sincerely thinks it's all fable and it makes no sense, again, I know I bring it back home, talk about it so often? Like, I don't, millions of kids believe in the tooth fairy. We just don't start making campaigns about the tooth fairy. It's
All right,
almost
I'll
like
answer that.
ourselves
No.
that God doesn't
There's two
exist.
parts to that. There's two parts to that. First, so you're saying that because I'm talking about it often, it is proof that I am trying to convince myself. Not at all. When I was in like my doubting stages, I wouldn't want to be exposed to this kind of platform because that would just lead me to more confusion, if anything. And I wouldn't want to be in a confused position and talk about something when I have no idea where my own bearings are. But to get back to it, the reason why I talk about it so often is because this is, in a way, a cause, right? There's a purpose behind me talking about it in different ways, even if it's as simple as making a sketch, right? That again, the sketches are never about like, look at how, Muslims are so and so. The sketch is usually about something in Islam. Even that, someone out there would hear me talk, right? And they'd be like, I've had the same thoughts. And I thought I was crazy because people like Adel told me that the shaitan is whispering in my ear and I'm in denial and so and so. And that is called gaslighting. And I'm here to wake them up from it, that gaslighting is not good. So, I don't know. Does that answer that?
So your platform is to call out gaslighting?
Part of it, yes.
Bro, how could you justify making, again, hours per day? Like, bro, hours about something that you think is completely nonsensical.
Again, with the hours per day, like, are you counting my hours or are you just
but you know
extrapolating
it.
from the past?
Why are you upset about it when you know it? Like, for me, you called me out for my da'wah, and I'm like, yo, bro, my da'wah is for the sake of Allah. I know there's a creator, and I know he's going to reward me.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing it for?
I'm still giving you my answer. So,
Yeah.
first of all, like I said, to reach out to other people who are being gaslit by religion and people in religion, right? It's not exclusive to Islam, but you hear this, that there's a devil whispering in your ear, and that's why you cannot let go of this doubt, this very reasonable question, that you asked. You're not accepting the silly answer or the very basic Allah knows best answer because there's a devil in your ear and because you haven't been praying enough. I don't like that. And I feel like those people are in a vulnerable position that if they're not reached out to, I've been in that position before. If they don't realize that there are around them people, especially like outside of the West, in the Middle East, they don't realize that there's a world outside them of people who are sane, normal, not awful people who are disbelievers. So I'm just letting them know there are other people who've had the same thoughts as you. That's just one reason why I do it. Another reason is because
encourages people to ask questions. Literally, my da'wah sessions is to encourage people to ask questions. I don't know why there's this false perspective that we are scared of questions. We are definitely not scared.
No, you just said it right here. You just said it like the shaitan.
You're not asking questions, man. You're coming on as a ex-mufti, giving like, hey guys, listen, for me, this is what I know about Islam. You'll recite Surah Al-Ikhlas like 3 times and think you did the khatam of the Quran, and then you'll quote us this hadith that, the basic Joe Blow Muslim doesn't know. And I'm very confused to why all that work. Like, what is your reward at the end? Your reward is...
I don't know if you're listening or you're just repeating everything again.
But I'm telling you.
I never claimed to be a mufti, right? I never claimed to be a mufti. But the issues that I talk about are issues that I researched as a Muslim. I went to all the people who are more knowledgeable than me. I was like, save me, I'm a Muslim. Tell me how this makes sense. It wasn't like, let me collect ammo against Islam. It was the opposite. It was like, make this make sense for me, right? And this is what I learned from it. And then I come out and I talk about it because there's a lot of people who have the same questions and they hear your answer first, right? They hear the answers of the scholars as well first. Like, that's who I tell them to refer themselves to. And then they hear that answer and they're like, wait, that's nonsensical too. And I'm like, yep, that's what I said. And then they see sketches about it. They see me talking about it. And they're like, okay, we see that there are other people who believe similarly to us, and that we're not crazy, because Islam, again, the gaslighting tries to tell you that you're lost without God, you're not praying enough, that's why you have questions, and you know that part. So, do you at least understand the first point, like that I'm trying to help some people out there who are being gaslit?
Islam does not encourage people to ask questions?
That's not exactly true. Like, okay, here's my personal anecdote. I've spoken to several sheikhs, again, as a Muslim, and they always start with, we encourage these questions. And it's very good to think about this. Tafakkur is very good. And then towards the end, towards the end of their talk, they would say, But you got to ask, where's the source of those questions? Is it the shaitan whispering to you the questions? Is it because your faith is weak? So at the end of the day, the questions are going to be stumped by, there must be another reason. You're in denial about your disbelief or whatever it may be, So
Okay, but so it does encourage to ask questions.
up until a certain point, because like
There's
we
a
can
certain
talk about
point.
some of my questions. Yeah.
Yeah, because to a certain point, there is an obey what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala believes, right? If we believe that the Quran is from Allah, then we are okay to submit to whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, right? If you're gonna question me to why Maghrib is only 3 rak'ah as opposed to 4 like Isha, and you need an explanation.
That's not the kind of question. No,
I know, but
and
I
that's the thing.
understand
I
that,
don't need
but
to know. Yeah, you don't need to know everything about everything. I understand that. I
and
really
that's
understand that.
where we're getting from. If you come down to the conclusion that the Quran is the word of Allah, then you would have to kind of those little, like, I don't believe a girl wears a hijab for modesty mainly. I think she wears it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said so, and then she does it. I don't pray 5 times a day because I need that spiritual. It's Allah told me, and Allah knows better. There is still a concept of obedience, right? And we all have some sort of obedience in our life, to our desires, to the ruler, to the city,
Mhm.
we do have obedience to a certain extent, and what better obedience to the Lord of the worlds? And so,
Well,
where do
that's
you
not what
want
I
it?
have issue with the
So,
questioning though. Like,
so have issues
okay,
with.
these questions, I understand we can't know Allah's hikmah. I've heard all that. I know that. But the problem here is when it's something that is, be it a shubha, for example, or not just a shubha, just a basic question about like a qada and qadar. We get to a point where people say, well, only God can know. But what if it's a focal point for someone's faith? What if, like, so many of these questions, these suspicious ahadith, these suspicious incidents, if at the end of it we have to say Allah knows best and therefore this all resolves itself, that doesn't work for some people.
I
So
understand. I
anyway,
definitely.
the issue here is not whether Islam allows questioning or not. Like the problem is when you talk about Islam in a critical way. First of all, people always assume I'm lying when I would never lie, because why would I put myself in that position? Um, but when I talk about Islam in a critical way, people don't like it, right? And even if I'm the most respectful person, people will say stuff like, "You're not a Muslim anymore. Why are you holding a mushaf without doing wudu?" So I don't know what I could do to start this conversation and skirt hate from Muslims. Like, do you have any tips for me?
Tips to what? And talk about your ex-Muslimness.
Yeah, well, talk about, again, you're stuck on this idea that why would someone talk about something they left? All right, let's get back to that point because I'm not done answering that one. So when I left Islam, as in like I don't have faith anymore, I tried, and I don't have faith anymore. I'm convinced in the position that God is not going to torture us for disbelief. Isn't it normal that just like you want to preach that God is salvation from hell, I want to preach that you don't have to be worried about that, just be a good person? Is that a bad thing for me to want to preach?
Again, what is your alternative? You're saying you're preaching Islam. I say, yeah, that is my Islam. You said I'm preaching being a good person. You see the bias in what you just said? You just equated whatever you're calling to as being good, and whatever I'm calling to being not
No,
necessarily
that's not how I
bigger
said
than.
it. No.
What are you calling to? Actually, I'm very curious
I
to
said I'm
what you're calling.
preaching you don't have to be scared of hell, especially as someone, there's so many Muslims who are in Islam only because they're scared of hell. I see them all the time. They say it without me asking them, right? I'm telling those people, you don't have to worry about it, right? You don't have to worry about the hell of it. Just be a good person. I'm not saying you can either be a Muslim or a good person. I'm not comparing the two, right? But
So,
those people need someone to talk to them.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to know what you're like. If hell is the only aspect to it, Islam has twice as many verses about paradise than actual hell.
Yeah,
Allah
but
subhanahu wa ta'ala.
that doesn't cancel that out. I never
Yeah, but just
understood that
because somebody's
logic.
irrationally scared of something doesn't make it the problem of Islam. You understand what I mean? So I'm
It's
very
not
curious.
irrational fear. Like, and here's the thing: I don't have any, like, I don't have the smallest grain, mustard seed of fear of hell. Like, I'm telling you this, it sounds like arrogance, but it's just being convinced, right? It's after realizing that it's the same as so many other religions, and I think more highly of God than that. But that's besides the point. Then, like, preaching that is going to get so many people out of that fear. That fear that is so justified. Can you imagine if you really believe that God is telling you that people are going to burn in hell forever and their skin is going to fall off and so on and so forth? Part of it is empathy too. I wasn't worried about me as a Muslim the most. I'm like, afraid of hell. I was asking, what about good disbelievers? Are they going to face this? So that's a question for you. What happens to good disbelievers in the afterlife?
I sincerely believe any person who is in hell is 100% his decision, and he did, and there is nothing to feel
You
empathetic
see
for
how
him.
you answered that? That's not what I
100%.
asked.
Like it's like I'm asking you, do you believe? Because your layer to that question lacks knowing that Allah has the full knowledge and Allah has the full wisdom, and Allah is the most merciful, but also is the perfect judge. Knowing all of that about Allah, do you think Allah is gonna put somebody unjustly in hell?
No, no, no. I don't disagree with that. I'm just
Somebody will
saying the
be in
angle
hell.
you approached it from is very odd because I'm asking you like what happens to a good disbeliever? So what can you answer it from that angle? Like what happens
Yeah,
to a good
what is
disbeliever in hell?
very curious? What is a good disbeliever? Because my morality is not subjective; it is objective, right? What is a good disbeliever?
No, no, okay. So, what is a good disbeliever? That's a good question. So, a good person who doesn't harm people around them, right? Who does all the good things as in Islam, but minus adhering to the specifics of Islam. Like, say they do have premarital sex, they do like all the non-Islamic sins, but there's still a person who harms the people around them the minimum, and he does good in the world. Let's not be pedantic about it. Like, how can that kind of person who truly just isn't Muslim? What do you think happens to that kind of person?
You see, my issue is you gave a grade and Allah gave a grade, and I believe that your grade just came up to whatever is convenient for you right now. And I believe that the grade of Allah is the ultimate grade. So I don't necessarily
That's
equate
that's not the
what
question
you
though.
what you see. You're not defining good. That's the thing, is you're saying somebody that's not doing too much bad, but not
That's
not too
that's
much
not the
good.
question. That's not the question. I don't know why you want to keep focusing on defining good. I'm telling you, like,
My
let's not
good
be
or bad,
pedantic, Adam.
my definition of good or bad comes from Allah and His Prophet.
So
Your
okay,
definition,
okay. I
yeah,
I understand what you mean. Your definition is a good person, like, sorry, a good person would have to be a believer, right?
100%. You
Otherwise,
cannot be denying the one
okay,
who created.
okay. So basically, that's what I was trying to arrive at. That you think that disbelievers are bad people at their core.
Not necessarily, but they are doing dhulm against themselves. They are oppressing themselves by denying the one that created them.
So
Like, why would
again,
like,
this idea of denial,
I'll give you a
like I
practical
want to take it back to the kafir thing, denial thing. Like you're saying that these people are truly they know Allah exists and they're denying it because they're lazy or they want to drink or whatever. Is that what you truly you're saying? That's what a disbeliever is.
no, your issue is, let's say you are a horrible son for X reason. You hate your father. You pretend like your father doesn't exist, and then you go ahead and start acting good all over the place. And then you're like, but I'm a good
That's a
person.
bad analogy.
No, because
That's a really bad
obviously if
analogy.
the dhulm to the father is understandable, then imagine the dhulm to Allah that you're denying.
That's an
Not,
awful analogy.
but
Then we got to talk
no, it's
about
not
why
awful.
this is a crime against
You're a
God.
horrible
It
son, and
is.
then you're going ahead be like, but I'm a good person. Oh, why you being horrible to the one who gave you birth, the one who raised you, the one who took care of
That's
you when you were
that's
weak?
an awful analogy. Can I
But
tell you why that's an awful analogy?
well,
Because God is not right in your face like your dad was telling you things, right? Your dad was here, your dad did things for you. Your idea is that God, according to one religion or another, says that he did this, and that. I am not saying I am being an ungrateful shit to God. I'm sitting here, okay? I seriously don't believe that this is what God told me to do. So how am I disobeying him when I think he's better than to send me those specific instructions?
but your issue is I don't even know if you believe in God. So you're gonna go ahead and tell me I don't believe this is what God sent me, but I don't believe in God. So your issue is not even this is what God sent me. Your problem is you don't even believe in a God. You see, the issue is how can I prove to you that this is what God sent you if you don't even believe in God? Doesn't even matter.
No, I already gave you a presumption that I believe in God. Like, why
By
do you
the way,
need
you
to?
do believe in
Uh,
God. You actually started off this conversation saying you don't know if you believe in God.
no, no,
You went
I said I presume, like for the sake of this kind of discussion, presume that I believe in God, because there
and
is no point in, yeah,
so if you
yeah.
believe in a
So
higher power, you believe that this higher power left us with no guidance.
again, logically, there is no reason to think that the higher power would have had to leave us a guidebook. That's besides the point, right?
So
But
you would
again, I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue whether God exists or not, right? I don't want to argue anything. I'm just saying here, My question is like, if God is good, would he judge disbelievers to be bad people morally and send them to hell? Good people like who are disbelievers. You don't think there can be good people who are disbelievers. We disagree there.
No, I've never said that. I believe a lot of good people. Actually, the Prophet ﷺ used to praise some disbelievers, yes.
So are they going to go to heaven? Like, are they good enough to have a chance to go to heaven?
Ultimately, all I'm saying is I still need to understand your perspective. What is a good person? Like, you're assuming that if I were to tell you, oh, this guy, you're like, oh,
But
this
you
guy
just
was
said some people are good people. Are
I
like
believe they're
the
good
people you're
as a
talking
human,
about.
but ultimately, it doesn't mean that they pass the test in front of Allah. And who said that Allah is not rewarding them in this world? We do believe that they do get rewarded.
Yeah, I know that, but that doesn't cancel it out. Like giving me better luck or a better job doesn't cancel out the torture.
I just need to understand. It's very, very easy to point fingers when you are unable to give me an answer to what is the guidance of God.
What is the guidance of God? You never really asked that
We
question
believe
before.
in God. I believe God sent down a guidance. You say, who says God has to give us a guidance? I'm saying the one who created everything in perfection wouldn't have left us with a guidance. It sounds almost
You're
impossible.
making like baseless claims on baseless claims because now you're saying someone created us to perfection when there's a lot of imperfection, and then you're saying then where's the guidance as if the default is guidance. Again, there's no logical reasons why there should be guidance, but this discussion is too philosophical to even be relevant to the point. Like, do good
So
people
you
go to
believe
heaven?
that didn't leave us with any guidance?
I don't know.
Like
Like, that's the
he
thing.
created us, like I do. You do you?
Let's say I do believe it, and then what's the next step? Therefore, it's the Quran. Like,
No,
let's
I'm actually.
focus
But you
on
see,
the
that
topic
takes me
here.
to another step. You see, the issue is where whatever you believe in. I don't know what the heck you believe in, but it brings you to a dead end. All of your, you want to nitpick the Quran, you want to nitpick Islam, cool, and I'm cool for that. But your issue with obey no understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you things that you won't always understand, and whatever you believe in is exactly the same thing, except that we have an answer and you don't. You have believe and obey, but with nothing. We have believe and obey, but in Allah. Your conclusion to a lot of these questions is maybe, sure, okay, we'll see. Like, it's not answers.
Okay, okay. Do you think that just the presence of answers is better than not knowing? Do you think
No,
that just having an answer?
give us the answer. When you're
Okay,
preaching for
no, no.
3 hours,
I'll give you a very good
one second.
analogy for this because I don't think you understand where I'm coming from. If I come out of the house right now and I see my car is gone, right, and I ask my roommate what happened to the car, he could tell me it gained sentience, winked at me, and drove away. That's an answer. That's a theory, right? And I would say no, because I've never seen a car do that before, and there's no reason for me to believe that happened. He would ask me, then where did your car go? I'd say, maybe towed, maybe stolen. I don't know. I'd have to investigate. Maybe I'll never find out. Does that mean that I have to take his answer just because he has one?
No, but
Like, you have an answer.
when
Yeah.
you're calling again, you see, the problem is we're not talking about you believing in Islam. We're calling about you're preaching against the belief of Islam. When you are preaching against, no,
That's
these are wrong.
not exactly what I'm doing, but
This is not.
I
I'm
don't
going to
have
go
to.
ahead and
Okay,
ask you. Then
go
who
ahead.
did? Who did steal the car? When you're consistently telling people, no, this is not what it is, then we're going to tell you, then what is? I'm not talking about you personally. By the way, you could
Mhm.
disbelieve as much as you want. I'm asking you, you're out here doing like more work than we are. Who did steal your car? Just not
Well,
the
that's
guy.
the thing.
Yeah.
It's better to not know and start looking that way than to say that it gained sentience and flew away, right? Like a lot of I didn't mean to make that comparison, but there's a lot of even more ridiculous stuff in Islam that I would much rather believe some scientific explanation or the lack of knowing at the moment, than to say it is this answer. Just having an answer doesn't mean that it's the correct one. But I think the biggest issue here is that you think I am okay, so I'm deconstructing Islam or whatever, which is not really what I'm doing, and then I'm not leaving an alternative, as if the default there has to be something to fill that with another religion
If there's
or
a higher,
another worldview. There doesn't.
100%, if there is a higher
There,
power, if
no,
there
no.
is a
What
higher
I'm
power,
saying is, believing in Islam or not believing in Islam is its own contained thing. Like once you, okay, I don't believe in Islam and I want to talk about that part, right? What your point of view is after that is up to interpretation. There's a lot of different,
But
outlooks.
if you believe in a higher power, you would automatically have to believe he leaves us with a guidance. It makes
No,
no
not
sense
really.
that an all-intelligent, all-knowing being would not give us base living life,
Make no sense
baseline
how.
of
Like this
morality.
is not a position I want to argue though. Like you're talking about if there's a higher power, why wouldn't it give us guidance?
Very tough
I don't
to
know how
argue.
relevant it is to this conversation, right?
You know it's tough, bro. If my father, who is a lot less intelligent than the higher power, would guide me, you would hope that the one who created the heavens and the earth would have guidance for me.
Wait, again, you're first of all, again, this part of the conversation is completely irrelevant to what we're talking about. I am not arguing whether if God exists, He will give us guidance or not. That's what you're trying to do. But
Okay.
to just to entertain you for a second, on what basis, like, how can you logically infer that if he exists or she or it exists, it must give us guidance? That's just the wishful thinking. Like, it would be nice if it would give us guidance, but can you prove it? Can you explain that part to me?
To why he would give us guidance? Like your question is
No,
why
like
would
how is it like so absurdly like obvious that by default he would have to give us guidance? I'm just curious about that part, not that it's relevant to what we're talking about.
because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would create us and create a system around us, he would also set rules and boundaries for us. It's just any intelligence, especially that we know that this creator is intelligent, he's wise. If we are intelligent, when we know then the creator of the universe is exponentially more intelligent. If we have some sort of mercy, we know that the creator of the universe is exponentially more merciful. So if we
Right.
know that we kind of need guidance in our life, and this is why we teach our kids, and this is why we teach, if you're a teacher, you teach your class, and if you're a president, you try to, guide your nation. We know that the one who created the heavens and the earth, who is exponentially more wise, would have some sort of guidance for us.
Okay, you said a lot of things, and then in the end you said, therefore he would have a lot of guidance for us because he's so smart, and that's the best way to do it, right? Like
If
that's the
we
best for
believe that
humanity.
we require guidance for people, if me and you who are, very, very low creation would know that I need to guide my son for him not to be turn out a horrible person, then the Lord of the universe would know better and would have a better guidance.
Okay. I'm going to follow that logic with a counter example. You're making a judgment, a moral judgment, or I don't know, some kind of judgment about what God should do as a smart, perfect being, right? You're saying if we need guidance, and a smart God, an infinitely good God, would know that, and He would give us the guidance because He should, right? Because it's only logical. So in my mind, there's a similar way where I'm thinking, okay, God would not do something so cruel, be it this or that. Therefore, and God claims to be perfect. Given my, small intellect that He gave me, He's got infinite of that, and He knows how I'm thinking, and He knows I would arrive at the conclusion that He's better than this.
Yeah.
So He planned all this to begin with, but even presuming that I have free will, He knows because of His wisdom how my limited wisdom works. Then by that same logic, I just mandated how God should act, right?
Okay.
So how are we different?
So you're saying that if God, with His ultimate wisdom, would know that I'm not going to believe in it, so why would He give me that religion type thing?
Not exactly. If God with His ultimate wisdom would know that I'm not going to believe in it because I see some very immoral things in Islam, and I think God wouldn't mandate something like that, God is more highly moral than that, then He would at least cut me enough slack to understand, okay, I know how your brain got there because I made your brain, right? So
Okay.
then it makes more sense to me than God wouldn't torture me for that, and I made that judgment on His behalf, just
But
like you made that judgment on His behalf that
well,
He
ultimately,
would give us
then
guidance.
you're just pushing the blame of your disbelief on God, right? If my teacher knew that if my teacher knew I wasn't gonna study, why would she
Dude,
give
the
me an
teacher analogies, please no
why would
teacher
the teacher
analogies.
give
They're
me an
so
exam if
bad.
you're gonna study? Then why don't you actually study and stop blaming the teacher?
The teacher analogies are so awful because it's not like that. It's like you received a random text telling you have an exam, you guess which school, right? You try to figure out which school, and then you try to figure out which curriculum, and then you got to figure out if there's a teacher at all or if this is just some kind of test, The analogy doesn't make any sense at all, okay? If there's a human in front of me, that changes everything.
Okay.
But Yeah.
So you're saying you would have had a
forgot what-
prophet, you would have been completely different?
If there was a prophet who demonstrated everything, then I suppose I'd have no other choice. Like, I'd be really inclined to believe him.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've seen throughout history that that's not like, obviously in our books, you're not going to agree with that, that even with the prophets, people disbelieved in it.
But don't you realize that that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy? Like in some of these stories in the Quran, when the disbelievers ask for proof and the Prophet says, we showed proof to people before you and they didn't believe, so I guess we're not going to show you proof. Like, don't you see how that's like circular?
Yeah, but he also did show them proof. Like, you're also acting like the Prophet ﷺ didn't do miracles. But it just showed that even after those miracles, they still didn't believe. Even with him telling
That's
them...
according to the story. That's according to the story, not according to something we can measure today.
Okay, but you don't have an alternative to that story. So again, is this the car example?
Just because you came up with a story doesn't mean that like I have to accept it because I don't have an alternative to it. I mean, there's alternative to the stories of creation now, and see what we did with that. We adapted the story of creation to fit that. Like,
okay. So again, ultimately, I'm very curious to how do you live your life, right? What is your purpose? Like you tell me, Islam is not the truth. This creator does not have to have guidance. Then what is the purpose of our life? What would be the purpose of that creator creating us?
so that's a very different question. Like I said, I suppose that there's a creator. If someone wants to talk about the rest of that inference, there's a creator and therefore it wants us to do this and that. Could there be a creator? You're asking me like for a new position. Could there be a creator who's left us alone to do nothing?
The thing is,
Maybe.
every time it's kind of shaky, you go back to, is there a creator? I thought we established that for this conversation, there is a creator, right?
Sure, okay, but the discussion of there's a creator and he's leaving us like nothing to do or no guidance.
No, according to you, why would there be guidance? So what is the purpose of this creation?
Perhaps there is no particular purpose, just like there's no purpose of some animals existing except to be in their ecosystem. Perhaps. I don't know what the purpose is. What I know is I can make my purpose in life to be a good one, right?
Okay, so we're purposeless. We literally have no reason to exist.
You're basically a nihilist if you think that. No, I think we exist because we do, right? What we do with that is what I focus on.
Right. So the creator created us to exist because we exist. The reason the creator created us is to exist.
No, I didn't say that. I say we exist. I don't know what the reason he created us for is, or if he or she or it exists. Right, the creator. We keep saying he because it's Allah, but no, let's just say it. Right, I don't know why it created me, but all I know is what I can see, what I can understand, what I can think of, what I can study, even from your religions, and all I can deduce is that I don't know, but I will make purpose of my life, and there are a lot of people who are making purposes of their life,
and
it's not just purposeless.
Purposes end up committing suicide sometimes, unfortunately. But again, don't you think
you don't see people committing suicide in Islam, like as if that's like doesn't happen?
That they don't go back to their purpose. If you knew your purpose or understood your purpose of this life, your purpose has to be endless. Because if it is ending, then there's gonna come a time where you're gonna be expired, right? If a pen stops working, what do? You throw it out. If a human has no more purpose, what do you see? Throw himself out? No, there has to be a purpose from the beginning.
That's yet another bad analogy. Is your pen worthless because it's going to end one day? The ink is going to run out one day? No, there is a purpose to the pen. You use it to write. And it has value and it has worth. And it is purposeful. Like that's exactly what we were talking about. There is a purpose to the pen, even though it is finite. That's the opposite of what you're saying.
And then as soon as the pen ends the ink, what happens? Then what? You can't write with it. That's exactly what I said.
Refill the ink. You've used the pen. It served its purpose. That's it.
And you throw it out. That's exactly what I said. You see, you automatically jumped with, oh, you see in the beginning. Okay, cool. He has a purpose in the beginning. But then at one point it runs out and then becomes purposeless.
No, so you're saying you want eternal purpose, otherwise there's no meaning to life?
There is no reason for a human to have lived for more than 10 years if the purpose of his existence only lasted 10 years. If you're going to tell me, oh, I'm going to try to make my life...
That's not true.
I'm going to go ahead and assume you're between 25 and 35 for, whatever, somebody might come do something. Okay, it's like we're going to do that. What's your purpose?
No, wait. I want to go back to that analogy because it's really not sitting
for 30 years
with me right.
What is your purpose of life?
No,
you've consistently...
I want to answer that.
Yeah.
I want
And
to
you
answer
give
that, but I want to get back to the analogy. So you're saying if I live a finite life, then I have no ultimate purpose? Is this pen, it's a finite life pen. It has no ultimate purpose.
it has a purpose until it ends, and then
That's
you
that's
throw
us
it out.
too. We have a purpose till we end.
No,
And
no,
then you throw it out. That's what happens.
pen is still existed. The pen, when it runs out of ink, then you throw it out. The human, when he runs out of ink, his purpose, do we throw it out? Do we
Yeah, you
do we kill
die.
it?
That's the end of it. We don't know if there's something that comes after the death. It's a nice thought.
What
Okay,
is
I'll give you that. It's a nice thought that God's going to settle everything. Everything's going to be even. The scales are going to be even. People are going to be happy after life. It's a nice thought. Does it mean that it's mandated to happen? There's no logical reason.
Well, what is our purpose? You've been alive for 30 years. You've been preaching Islam against Islam for what, 2 years, 1 year, whatever. I'm sure you took the moment and sat down as much as you preach Islam to figure out why you're even alive.
So, okay, now you're asking me what is my purpose, but are
Yep.
we trying to establish that I have no purpose unless I have an eternal purpose? Because these are two different things.
What is your purpose? Like, you could twist it. It's almost like you're afraid to answer the
No, no,
question.
I'm not twisting. You were just asking me about the eternal and the pen and the stuff. I like to talk about one thing at a time. So,
Okay,
does
my
the pen?
question-
I want to understand your pen analogy. Yeah,
What is your purpose, bro? Don't bring me back to the analogy. You've been alive for
yeah.
30 years. You've preached against Islam so much because you figured it out. What did you figure out? What is your purpose?
I can tell that it really angers you, and you keep saying preached against Islam, preached against Islam. Like,
your
okay, let me
purpose?
just answer your question.
How could such
Let
a
me answer your
basic
question.
of why are you alive?
Let me answer your question.
having
اهدى
argued
حبيبي معلش معلش قلبك معلش. My purpose in life. Well, when I was first born, I was born a Muslim, right? So my purpose in life was to do everything as well as I could to please Allah so I can go into heaven, right? That was my purpose. And my purpose was also to like study, get good grades, go to university, blah, blah, blah. And then now at this point, I don't have religion anymore, right? What is my purpose? At first, I was struggling with it as a Muslim. As a Muslim, I was thinking to myself, okay, is my purpose truly to obey Allah and go to heaven? Okay, if that's the case, I still see a lot of unfulfilled things here. Like, for example, the way that heaven is described seems suspiciously like it was just to entice a certain type of people, for example. Or I just cannot feel at ease knowing that disbelievers go to hell if they're good people. Again, you're going to argue with me what good means, but if they're decent people, let's just put it that way, right? So I had all that turmoil before I even left Islam. And then I felt like I didn't know what my purpose was. When I left Islam, when I didn't have all that fear anymore, when I had this being completely convinced that God would not do something like that, now I try to figure out what's my purpose in life now. And I figured that what makes me happy is making other people happy, minimizing harm around me. It's kind of utilitarian in a way, maximizing benefit, minimizing harm, right? And that's what I'm trying to do, basically, in my life. Obviously, I know you're going to take this to my TikTok channel and like you're going to try to apply it there, but you're asking me about my purpose in life. That's it. Living a happy life and making it happier for people around you.
So your purpose of life is to make people happy.
That's not exactly what I said. I don't
I'm
know why
asking
you're trying to misquote me.
like
My purpose in life is
sounds like
to
you made this purpose up like 5 seconds ago. Like, what is your like? I thought if you would have thought about this, you would have known. It sounds like you made this up on the fly. Like you're like, what's my purpose? Like, oh, let me just.
Do you want me to pull up videos where I said this exact same thing? Like, I don't know. Are you calling me a liar when you haven't even fucking let me finish? I don't understand. Honestly, man, like you've been on edge this whole conversation. Just, take a chill pill.
Wallahi, I just want to know what
Yeah, I'm telling you, and you come out of the gate and you tell me that I just made it up 5 seconds ago. Listen,
it sounds like, yes.
it sounds like it. طيب معلش استحملني.
You're critical about Islam. I'm allowed to be critical about what you say. You know what I mean? Don't feel defensive.
No, feel free to be critical. No, but you come out of the gate like and say that I just made it up 5 seconds ago. All right, let's talk about. Okay, well, it still sounds a lot more eloquent than a lot of the stuff that you say, but I'm not calling you out on that right now.
I'm still trying to
Look, let me rephrase it for you. My purpose in life is not to make other people happy. That's a gross misunderstanding of it. I'll say it again. My purpose in life is to maximize happiness for everybody, maximize the basically the amount of benefit that you're putting in the world and minimizing the harm. It's that simple, right? It's a simple rule that you can really like apply to a lot more complex situations, and you need to apply nuance and think for yourself. I know that's hard because you want a cut and dry rule, right? But that's just what my new outlook on life is. So go ahead, tell
So
me what you think of that.
how do you quantify that? How do you quantify I want to make people happy? Because like you said, and you knew I was going to say that. Oh, you're going to look at my TikTok. Well, your TikTok makes probably more people not happy than people happy. And then you're
The thing
assuming
about
what you're doing is making people happy.
Well, I'm getting feedback. So I'm not saying that the whole point, like my TikTok makes everybody happy, but there's more than enough people who reach out to me and say, listen, like this is really helping, or at least like I'm enjoying some of your content, whatever. Um, but to get back to the point, it's not that cut and dry. You can't measure happiness, right? Otherwise, I wish I had the answer to that. I'd be in a much better position than both of us right now. If you could measure happiness, that you could market happiness. But I do my best. That's the thing. I do my best. And I think that is a better moral compass than some of the moral compasses that come prepackaged with a lot of things that you haven't thought about.
Sorry, I didn't understand your last point. You said the prepackaged morality you just came up with is better than some of it that we come up with. I didn't understand that.
No, no. So my outlook on, how to do good and bad and like just maximizing happiness, minimizing harm, I think that is a better moral compass, or a more versatile moral compass, than the one that is prepackaged by religion, that you have to believe in and follow every single thing in here. Even if you find some things to be against your own moral judgment, it's because Allah mandated it, so you have to. So then some bad beliefs can escape in the middle, like, and get in, like a Trojan horse.
Okay, but you believe that your morality should be above the ones that Allah gave you. Doesn't that sound like you're just pretty much worshiping whatever you think is right and according to your time and place? Because
You're still misunderstanding this.
in Nazi Germany,
No.
they would a certain thing is right that we don't, and be like, if I told you Islam tells you not to do this, you'd be like, but that goes against what I believe. And today's era, with everything being halal, especially in the sexual world, and I tell you don't do that, you'd be like, but that's what I believe. So therefore, depending of the era, everything should be halal because ultimate Lord wouldn't know better. Like, how does that make any sense? You see,
So you're saying,
you're saying you should go with your logic as opposed to the logic that the Lord of the world gives you.
not exactly, because this is the logic that you claim the Lord of the world is giving me. If I truly believe this is the logic of the Lord of the world, then you're right. I can't do better than the infinite smartest being in the universe, or not being the creator. So I don't believe that is. And so many people don't. And trust me, it's not because they're stubborn or because they want to drink or they're lazy. Like, that's the part that I'm trying to get Muslims to understand. Honest disbelievers are the majority, if not the only kind of disbeliever. There's no disbeliever who's like, I know Allah exists and I want to go to hell because I want 20 years of drinking or whatever.
But
So,
it doesn't work like that. The way it works is, hey, yeah, I don't want to pray. Okay, does God even exist? Like, why am I
based
even
on
praying?
who? Like,
Oh,
you're a Muslim giving your take, and ex-Muslims are literally telling you,
da'wah almost every day. So I speak to these people. Like, you could ask a Joe Blow this. I speak to
yeah, you're
hundreds.
talking to teenagers. That's why teenagers tell you, I don't want to pray. That's why I don't know if I'd be Muslim. Have you spoken to adults who tell you this stuff?
I talk to every kind of people. I do not discriminate. I don't know if you understand how Omegle works, but I don't choose who I speak to.
I know. I'm just saying, like, out of this sample size, right? Are most of them adults who have thought of this for a long time and are telling you, I'm leaving Islam because I don't pray enough?
No, it's not. They don't say because I don't pray enough. It's the logic behind it is they don't do what they have to do Islamically. So then instead of kind of feeling bad about it, how many people is part of a specific community that I don't want to call out, that goes against Islam, and most people say no, it's fine. Go like, you know what? It's true. How could I feel this way? And then Islam tells me it's wrong. So Islam must be wrong, and I'm right. You see, people go with their desires as opposed to what Islam tells them. You chose prayer. I could tell you some people, choose sexual orientations above Islam. Some people choose other systems above Islam. And yes, if
Wait,
that happens,
we got to focus on what we're talking about, because now we're talking about like homosexuals leave because they're homosexuals and they want to be homosexual, not Muslim. Is that what you're saying?
I think there are people that do leave, regardless. There are people that do leave for reasons of wanting to commit sins. because they rather blame the
I
religion as opposed to stopping their sin and feeling bad for it.
well, I
Like
want to
you're
tell you
acting like
something. Every time I hear a take like this, sorry to interrupt again. Every time I hear a take like this, it's from someone who is a Muslim or a religious person. But when you actually speak to those people, you hear a very different story. I used to hear these stories too, and I believed them. So why
but
aren't
I
you believing the people who are telling you to your face, this is why I left Islam?
but I do. I speak to people all the time. Like you're acting like you're the only non-Muslim I've ever spoken to. I've given shahadas to many ex-Muslims. You're not special, and you're not the only one. So I don't know why you feel like you're the only one I'm supposed to be speaking to. I've spoken to many of them.
I never said that. I don't know why everyone keeps telling me that I'm not special when I never claim to be special. Like,
No,
okay, I'm
cool, but
not. Next point.
no, but I'm just saying, like, I've spoken to ex-Muslims and I've told, and we spoke, and they've given the shahadas back. Like, you're not the only ex-Muslim we've spoken to. Maybe you're the most outgoing, you and Noodle Girl, but that's it. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, they have their opinions, and they also say why they left Islam, and we discuss it. The thing is,
Right.
we're not
And
upset about you leaving Islam. We're upset about you trying to come on here like you're the Gandhi of ex-Muslims and you figured it out. And then when we ask you basic questions about you figuring it out, you have the hardest times to answer these questions. What's your purpose? Why are you here? Where are you going? I don't know. Well, I just want to make people happy and not make. What are you saying, man?
you're really upset that I don't have a 10-part question trying to explain to you everything
No,
in your
these are
life, like
basic,
which
bro.
which
Basic.
foot to use to go into the washroom. Like I'm giving you very sensible answers that others have heard and they're like, you know what? You do you. Like it's this is going to cause less harm than someone going deep into their religion and trying to figure out whether or not they should be executing apostates. Like that's another topic that we haven't yet talked about.
Because you knew that what I just said was right. Why are you here, man? Like, why are you on this world? You think your purpose of life is to come for, again, I know 3 hours, I know, for 3 hours a day to talk to Muslims about why you became an ex-Muslim? Like, we got it, bro. Like, you left
You're
Islam.
repeating the same stuff and you keep getting too emotional about the same exact point. I explained to you why, what my purpose in life is, right? I answered this multiple times and you keep saying it just sounds like you just made it up. Like, what more would you like to hear? Would you like me to make a dissertation about it? Not everybody needs to answer in like very thick, long, complicated answers and go speak to a scholar to figure out what their purpose in life is, you know?
So people should not take the time and realize why they're on this planet.
Who said they shouldn't? I'm telling people to do that.
And you're telling people to do that, but you didn't find it out yourself. Bro, why instead of preaching this?
Again, you know how many years people thought jinn possessions in Islam and outside of Islam were the cause of mental health issues and neurological conditions, and other people didn't have the answer, right? But then they went with the supernatural until we got doctors, and now we say we know the answer, we leave the supernatural. So how come in this one you're going to shame me for not knowing? We didn't get to the point of knowing yet, but it's better than the supernatural.
Do you think we don't believe that jinn possession is real? Like we believe in jinn possession and mental health. I
I
don't
know you
know
do.
where you thought Muslims did not believe.
Well, now you
Jinn
believe
we're
in
talking about.
both. Well, now you believe in both, but like 100 years ago, you would have just believed in jinn being the cause of both.
Do you sincerely believe that Muslims do not believe that there are mental issues? There's a whole
No,
book.
I'm talking 200 years ago. Muslims had no idea. Nobody had any idea what mental health was. So every mental health issue was jinn, right?
That is not true. The Prophet ﷺ, when he gave us fatwa based on for people who are not sane in their mind, he didn't say people that have jinn possessions. He says, except somebody who is not sane in his mind. We knew, but we didn't maybe know them to the description we have them today. But we knew that people are not right
What
in their
was the word for it then? Can you quote the word for it? Because I seem to remember majnoon. That's the word that I remember.
somebody who's not sane.
Majnoon, it comes from the word jinn. Jinn possessed majnoon.
Yeah,
It's
but
literally in it.
and it's not. We're not like you're saying it like we think that everybody who's majnoon is a person that has jinn. We know that people have mental issues.
Yeah, but when it started, it wasn't like that. It was literally the word is majnoon. It stems from jinn, possessed by jinn. That was the case, the usual case. And now
Okay,
we know.
but
Now you're saying
but
there are
them.
mental health issues and there is jinn, right?
But why would the Prophet ﷺ have a whole section for people that are majnoon, that people do not understand? They are not accountable, these people. We literally say they get a free pass to paradise, these people.
Right. Okay. But
Like you're acting like our
so some things. No, because up until very recently, a lot and till today, in a lot of communities today, It's hard to distinguish between what is mental health and what is a jinn possession. Just to be clear, there's no actual jinn possessions in the world. That is something that the religious people believe, right? So how do you find a distinction between someone who has schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder and a jinn?
We will encourage people, as a person who has done exorcism in the past, alhamdulillah, we will tell people to go see the doctors first, and if they don't give them answers, then they come to us. We don't do the opposite, which most people don't realize. We tell them, go see the professionals. If they don't give you the answers, which sometimes they don't, then they come to the exorcist.
So what if it's someone who has a condition that's harder to treat than one doctor or two doctors? Because that happens for years and years and years. Then you take a pass at exorcism?
Yes, we will take a chance at even if it was a mental issue. What's the problem with exorcism? It's reading Quran on a person.
I've seen it in person. All right. No, I've seen it in person. And the problem with that is that when you tell a mentally unwell person or someone who's in a vulnerable state, hey, there might be a jinn in you and we're going to say some magic words to get it out of you. Very often in so many cultures, they act it out because they genuinely believe there's a jinn in them, right? You're manipulating a very vulnerable person to tell them there's an invisible entity in them.
Maybe Raqis are a lot better than you think. I don't know which Raqi you've been. I've been with Raqis that will look at a person and be like, this person has nothing, and leave the room. Like, I don't know which kind of Raqis you've been around, and I don't know if this is a YouTube video or something that you say you've seen it, but Raqis are very good at what they do. And if you go see a doctor...
in person. Like, you're telling me, okay, let's not talk about the supernatural because... Yeah, at this point, no one's going to benefit from this.
When you had a hard time about telling me your purpose of life and why does it matter and why am I here, it's fine. Like, who cares? Like why talk about jinn? Is that a reason for you to have no purpose except make people happy?
How the hell did you equate this and that? Wait, let's take it back a second.
I was asking about your purpose, and you're like, 100 years ago, Muslims didn't know that jinn possession exists, that mental health exists.
No, because, okay, the reason we arrived there is because you were saying, I have an answer, you don't. And I'm telling you, your answer can sometimes be wrong, and then a few hundred years later, we figure out your answer was wrong all along. So what used to be presumed jinn, not just by Muslims, by other cultures as well, now we know isn't. So in the future, maybe your answer is going to be another one of those answers.
Okay, but ultimately, maybe my answer is going to be the proper one, but then it's going to be too late.
Very unlikely. That's what I say. And the thing is, I don't care. I don't care if you believe that it's likely. Like, go ahead. Like, believe that Allah is going to torture us in the end of times if we don't, worship Him the way He likes. That's on you. Go for it.
Well, I definitely. Yeah. I don't know. Just because you're saying it in a condescending way, doesn't make it not true. Like, okay, I'm going to ask you a very sincere question. Okay, you keep talking about hell and how could God do this? I'm going to ask you a very simple question. If for any reason Islam is true, do you think you deserve paradise?
As like outside of... Wait, if Islam is true, is what you're saying?
If Islam is true, khalas, when Islam is true, you think, why would God punish people? So I want to ask you, Islam is true, on the Day of Judgment, oops, it was a mistake. Do you think you deserve Islam? Paradise?
No, let's see. So I'll answer that a little differently. So I meet Allah, how's that going to go?
Sorry, I didn't hear a single word somebody called me. So
can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's not somebody called me.
All right, so, it's a day of judgment, right? What I'm going to be thinking is, all right, I was wrong, but God already knows. I don't know if it'll be a conversation or He knows what's in my mind. You know exactly how I arrived at this point, right? You know exactly why I disbelieve the way that I disbelieve. You know exactly why I talk about these issues from that point of disbelief, right? God knows exactly how my brain got to that point. Then I'll just be looking at God like, do you think that is worth punishing me for? Do you think just based on my disbelief, my rational disbelief that do you think I deserve a punishing? If He says yes.
I believe God is just. Now I'm asking you as the person who think nobody deserves help. You are wrong. You've been calling against the religion of God. You might have misguided people. Do you deserve paradise?
No, here's the thing. Based on my merits, based on what I did in life, yes or no, I don't know. I haven't kept track of my whole life. I cannot make that judgment for myself. Do I deserve to go?
But that's what I'm asking, because you keep saying Islam
tells me... No, I'm telling you. Do I deserve to go to eternal hell is the question I can answer. Do I deserve to go to eternal hell? I would say no. If God decides yes, then He is a tyrant and an egomaniac, then you know what? Do what you got to do.
So you
right?
disbelieve in Islam, call people to disbelief, call people to hell, and then ultimately you blame God for
Call
what you
people to
decided
disbelief, call
to
people
do.
to hell. That's
You
your
decided
rhetoric.
all of this, and then you call God
That's
all these
your
names.
rhetoric. Do you not wrap your head around the concept that I truly don't believe this exists? Like I'm not dragging people to
I
hell.
understand. And now
Yeah,
that you
okay.
are on the day of judgment, you're going to be like, if it is true, you're stuck on the day of judgment, and then you end up calling God all these names instead of taking responsibility. You think you don't deserve hell, then who does deserve hell? No,
Wait, you're saying like I'm the best case scenario for someone who deserves hell,
no. I'm
basically?
just saying you are a case scenario of a person who's going to hell, like
Well, that's not
because
very
you
nice, but okay,
since you
okay.
don't believe in it.
That's a
So
tangent I
ultimately,
want
I'm
to.
saying you're going nowhere. So I don't mean
No,
it.
no, I know, I
Ultimately,
know.
you think you're
That's a
going to
tangent I want to talk about later, but okay, to answer your question though,
like
I
you
don't
know you're
think
going to hell.
God
Then
would.
why are you upset at me? You know you're going to hell, according to Islam.
No, that's again more like
According
I
to Islam, you know
I
you're going
would.
to hell. So why are you upset at me?
No, no. According to Islam, I'm telling you, if God is fair and just and smart and all of that stuff, we'll get to that point and something doesn't make sense up until that point. He's going to throw me in hell. I'll be like, okay, just explain to me. I know you're going to find it absurd that I'm even having a conversation with God, but I'm telling you how I'm
I think
thinking.
you will have a
I'll be like,
conversation.
okay, okay, explain to me, like, where did I go wrong? Was it unreasonable for me to disbelieve based on this, this, and that? If it all made sense and I was an idiot, I'll be like, whoops, I really misjudged, but you know I got there honestly. If you want to torture me, it is what it is, right? But I think God is gonna he's just gonna look at me and be like, I know exactly how you arrived where you arrived. But again, the concept that, okay, say I truly honestly disbelieve and I took people to hell with me, as you put it. Is God truly, if he's fair, is he gonna punish those people because they happen to turn TikTok on at the wrong time of the day? Like, is that all it takes to
So
send them to
people who
hell?
disbelieved, who left their deen, should not be. So again, ultimately, what you are saying is you figured it out. You understand who needs to go to hell and not, and therefore you're upset that God doesn't have your logic.
No, no, I'm saying God, the way it is described like that, would be imperfect, egotistical, a tyrant, and also illogical because he wouldn't expect
Because he
people
doesn't believe
born
in the
in
same thing you do.
random middle of. No, no, because again, with the only mind that I have, with the only way that I can think, like you cannot use the scapegoat of like God is too big for us to understand and we don't know how he thinks. All I know is what I have, right? Using this brain that he made me in, right? He made for me, my thought process arrived at God would not torture someone for disbelief
Yeah.
because I understand what disbelief is. You don't understand what disbelief is because you've never had disbelief,
Alhamdulillah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had faith
Okay.
and I've had disbelief. I have that perspective.
And so, how is that different from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran? أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنْ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you not seen the person who has taken his Lord, his judgment, his understanding above God, as his God? You're saying God cannot be God because my logic and my understanding of things means that this is what God would have done and not what God is
No,
actually going to do.
no, it's the other way around. You're saying God is just, never mind how, because we cannot understand him, and let it all aside because we cannot understand him. That's the default here is what we can see, what we can understand. You're not the default. Like that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. So
The default is to
yeah,
what?
the
What
burden
is the
on
default?
the default is that you need to demonstrate that Allah said that, not just that a creator could exist and the first cause and stuff, that Allah said that. It has to be proven and proven without a shadow of doubt. Not just by miracles here and there, which aren't really miracles, but like mentions of miracles and a hadith, like really prove that God is here, that God said this, that God told us to do this.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is just another story, and I'm not actually judging God, I'm judging this character.
So ultimately, we're done with the scenario of, let's say this is true, and you do
Okay.
understand that if it's true, we both agree you deserve help, or do you not agree with that? If Islam was true, this fairy tale that you call it, we both agree that you deserve hell at this point. Would you?
Deserve, I mean, according to his rules, I'll be going to hell. Would it make sense? Not to my brain, but apparently to his big, gigantic brain, it makes sense that, he would send people to hell for that.
But notice that even
So
when I tell you, let's just play the game of it being true, you start accusing God and pointing fingers at God. You just sound like a vengeful servant. You're upset at your
that's
creator.
another narrative. You're like,
Even
you're
in the
really trying
situation
to
of
put
you
me in
thinking
that.
he's God.
No,
Sorry?
no, you're really trying to put me in that. Like, there's always this stereotype. Again, I keep hearing like stereotype after another. You're angry at God. God does not exist in that way, right? This idea that vengeful, that I'm telling you, God in his perfect description that's in Islam would understand the very simple concept that disbelief can be honest, right? And that people are predisposed to believe what they believe. That people born in, say, in the middle of India, for example, even if they went with their Muslim friends and they got the true message, are less likely to believe Islam. Are those people worse morally? He's not going to send them to hell for that.
No,
That's
I do
my
believe that somebody who's
imperfect
never heard
brain.
of Islam won't be judged based on the
No,
same
no,
way that
heard of
somebody.
Islam is what I'm saying. Heard of Islam just doesn't believe it because they're predisposed to stay in their own religion or no religion or whatever. It's just a game of luck. Like, that I could never get.
Bro, your brain is not luck. You know what is luck? To say I don't know and kind of let it go. And saying I just want to kind of make people happy, not cause harm, is my purpose of life, is just rolling the dice.
No, it is not.
Bro,
Don't
I'm
you
giving you
think God would find
things
it
that
more
would go with your.
noble? Don't you think God would find it more noble to take that as a cause than to take another religion, right? Or no religion, or just.
But you're not fulfilling your cause. You cause so much harm.
I'm not fulfilling what you claim is my cause. Again, you have to
So then,
prove that this is my cause.
so then, who decides what your purpose is? Because according to you, I could just punch a person in his face and be like, you know what, I'm causing happiness because I'm causing harm to one person, but other people are being happy.
Again, that's
How do you
another,
know when
like,
it's
you're
right or
coming
wrong?
up with your own scenario. Like,
No,
who said that I would do that?
if you were Nazi Germany, making people happy would be to rile up the Jews. That would make people happy.
I cannot believe I cannot believe you would
A
be,
hundred
honestly,
percent. I'm
like,
gonna use
without insult, you would use such a stupid example. Like, such a
bro. You
stupid
said
example.
every example I've said that like you're in charge of the examples. Bro, relax and answer my question. If making people
No,
happy
no,
was what,
because you're telling me Nazi Germany making people happy. It's
yes,
I'm just
because
like
what
baffled.
makes
I'm like, how do I
who
even
decides?
like?
Who decides what's making
Okay,
people
okay,
happy?
okay, okay. Here's the thing. You would use the same judgment that you're judging me for. Like if you see a guy in the street harassing a woman, right?
Yeah,
You're going to use your moral judgment to punch him, even though punching people is bad. But like in this
yeah,
situation, you're reducing the harm. It's that logic. It's not that hard to understand, right?
yeah.
So
My
why are you
morality
taking it to
comes from
Nazi
God.
Germany? If I was in Nazi Germany, I would have the empathy, the same empathy that got me out of Islam, by the way. The same empathy I would look at the Jews, even if I was an Aryan, and I would be like, this is not good. This is not good, even if those people around me are happy. This is harmful to people, very obviously. So that's a very bad example to use. Like, I don't know where you're going with that.
It's just I want to demonstrate how much your morality is subjective, and whatever you think is right, you will create a platform and you'll start pushing. Hey guys, Islam is wrong because my purpose of life is to make people happy. And this happiness requires me to what, get you out of Islam.
And you're
So
still,
your
there's
purpose
so
of
much
life
wrong
is
with
what,
this.
to be an ex-Muslim.
Adel, I want to face palm so hard right now, but
But you're scared that's gonna
I'm
come
holding
after.
myself back. No, but I'm scared I'm gonna lose the last two brain cells that I have left, to finish
I'm
this
glad we
conversation.
figured it out that you
Because,
only
oh
have
my
two brains.
freaking God, like, dude, it's like talking to a wall. I swear, everyone in the comments, it's like talking to a wall. Look, Habibi, you don't like the fact that you're gonna go into the whole like objective, subjective mumbo jumbo, right? I'm not gonna jump into this whole like morality argument. You're really upset that I have an opinion that you think is not God mandated, is not objectively good. You're upset that it's against your cause, right? And you think that everything I do in my life is purposefulness and it's everything that angers you. That's nothing of what I said. The reason why I do what I do, like I said, is to reassure other people who are being gaslit by people like you and their own religion. It's self-imposed as well. It's also to normalize talking about Islam, because if we don't talk about it, if we don't push the limits, we're just going to keep talking about how amazing Islam is and no one gets to say anything about anything, right?
I
Like,
don't know
and
why you don't get.
you're
You
making it
remember
seem
that
like my
Allah
purpose in
special
life
thing?
is,
Look,
yeah.
you're not the only ex-Muslim. You never will be, and people always feel like they need to
I
kind of
never
say.
said I was.
But you
I never said I was.
what are you trying to normalize? People are questioning Islam all the time.
How
Especially
many?
people
How
in
many
the-
people are doing this? Like, why is it that there's only a few of us to the point that you can name us? Huh? When it gets to the point, like
I'll tell you
there's
why.
ex-Christian atheists talking, right? And there's still more of them every day. But you don't
But
go
I'll tell
ask
you
them,
why.
are you special?
I've met so many ex-Muslims that are Christians, but don't call themselves an ex-Muslim because they found a different purpose. Now, the thing is, you still have absolutely no purpose, and that's why you're still stuck on what you used to be and not what you are.
Did my mic cut out when I was talking about my purpose, or like,
Your purpose
again,
was
this
to make
is some of the gaslighting. This is some of the gaslighting. That's like, no, no, no. I've decided you have no purpose. You're a miserable ex-Muslim, and that is the narrative I'm going with.
no,
Like, are you not listening to what I'm saying?
bro. If I got it wrong, I'm gonna explain it. You said your purpose is to make people and yourself happy, and to minimize the harm.
Sure.
But that purpose is based on your logic and whatever you feel like is helping people, and whatever you feel like is minimizing harm.
The same judgment that you use day to day.
I will go against my own judgment if the Lord of the world told me something different.
All right, let's
My
get to
judgment
what the
says to keep my
Lord
money.
says then.
So my
Okay,
judgment says to keep my money.
focus on the things that you would understand with your judgment that I wouldn't understand. What are those things, for example? Like, when is it okay to have a slave? Let's talk about the rules of slavery. Is that what objective morality is about?
Like I don't know. Do you think Muslims get scared when you bring up something about Islam? Like,
No,
are we
no,
supposed
not
to-
scared. It's just, it's not
I'm
for
okay
you,
with
and
that.
it's not to like, it's not to like destroy you or Islam or anything. I'm just demonstrating to other people what is this morality you're making a fuss about.
Sure.
Let's
Now,
see where it leads us.
Mr. Making people happy and trying to minimize
That
harm.
really
You're
bothered
at
you, huh?
court, you catch somebody of the opposite side. What do you do with him? Because you figured it out. So let me know what your religion tells you.
Wait, what's the situation? Go ahead.
I'm telling you. Because you have your system of belief of making people happy and minimizing harm. You're at war with people. You catch a prisoner. What do you do with him?
Want to catch a prisoner?
Some guy's attacking you. He's trying to kill you and your family. What do you do with him?
Yeah, prisoners of war. There you go. Don't tell me slavery in Islam is like prisoners of war.
So what do you do with him?
Prisoner of war, kill them. I don't know what the rules of engagement are, but
Kill
let's
him?
talk about the specific case.
So you think
Let's
killing
talk.
somebody is above taking him as a slave?
Let me let me tell you what you think. Let me tell you what you
That's the
think.
problem,
You
bro.
think you think taking him,
Islam
you
is
think
the way
taking
to
him and
question-
taking his wife as a slave is better. You think taking his wife as a sex slave is better.
So we should kill them.
Oh, you think taking them as slaves and enslaving his wife as a sex slave is better than killing him? I think he would rather take his dignity and die.
You figured it out. Teach me.
No, I'd rather like I don't really like. Would you take it on yourself? Would you rather
Teach me, man,
would you
teach me.
rather
I
your
think
sister be
we're
enslaved than
We're
dead?
backwards. What should we do? Tell me. Teach me.
No,
Teach me,
because you're
somebody's
telling me that
attacking
like killing them is. No, I'm asking you. You're the one with the objective morality. The objective morality says say.
Me and you know what we should do Islamically. Now you're saying that is wrong. Now my question to you is, what should we do? Because I didn't figure out. Apparently you did. So what should we do?
No. Here's the thing, though. You're the one defending your position of objective morality, right? I'm not the one
You
who's on the
figured it out.
defensive.
I didn't. Apparently.
No, I didn't say. I figure out things as I go, and like I said, I am not ashamed of saying I don't know yet. You are arrogant in terms of I have all the answers.
Because if you did
right?
figure it out, you would always come down to what Islam told you. It is literally the most logical thing. What America does with prisoners of war.
Okay, let's talk about the most logical thing, Adel. Okay, let's say I'm the atheist. I don't know, and we're at a war, and I'm the atheist camp for some reason, and I come to your town and I win, right? I enslave you. You wanted to kill me. I enslave you and your sister and your mom and everyone in your family. Is that fair?
It's not fair, but that's what happens. It's a war. Like it's not fair.
It's not. I just thought it was fair. I just thought it was fair because of the Islamic system. Is it fair? Or is it not fair? أَتَرْضَاهُ لِنَفْسِكَ. Would that be okay?
But why would, like, if I saw Islam, I would join the Islamic side. Why would I attack? You see, your logic doesn't make any sense.
No, but here's the thing. You're saying it's okay because Islam is the truth. But I'm saying atheism is the truth. Is it okay from my point of view?
To what? Enslave people?
To enslave you as a prisoner of war and your family members rather than kill you.
To be truthful, nothing will be fair except if everybody was Muslim. So no, it wouldn't be fair.
See, okay, exactly. Now turn it around. That's where we're at. Like, I hope you understand it from the other point of view. You're saying that it is fair just because Islam is the truth. That's it.
Okay, if they treated me if they treated me the way that Islam required them to treat me, I would be so much more okay than what the way that they're treating prisoners right now in the 21st century in Guantanamo Bay, and they
Okay.
claim prisoners.
Okay, let's talk about those conditions then, right? So I don't know if you have a wife. Don't take this personally. I'm not talking about your wife in a bad way, but let's presume you have a wife. And now my rules say that you are not atheists, right? Just like in Islam, if you're not Muslim, you are separated from your wife. We can take your wife as a concubine. Is that still rahmah? Is that still fine?
I prefer that than what they're doing with our women today. Like you don't realize what's the alternative. The alternative is the
You
rape
prefer your wife be taken as a concubine
as
than
opposed
go
to
to
what?
jail or whatever?
Do you
As,
think
than
our
being
women are
killed
going to jail?
or go
Do
to
you
jail?
actually know what's happening? I don't know if you're being very
No.
serious.
Why are you comparing it with today? I'm
Because
comparing
I'll
it
give
with
you
my other option, which is
seriously.
killing.
So your conclusion is what? If that woman converts to Islam, nobody's touching. She gets freed, right? If this woman is freed, she has money, she frees herself. How many people could leave jail if they paid themselves up? How many people?
Wait. Does a woman
How
free
many people
herself
can
when she's
leave
a
jail if they paid
concubine?
themselves
That's
up?
not how it works, Adel. That's not how it works.
Islamically,
Concubines don't get to just walk away,
if they
do
paid,
they?
you want to know how many concubines left Islamic by paying themselves out
No.
or teaching?
What's the rule, Adel? Can a concubine walk out of the house? Can a slave
No,
walk
if
out of
she
the house?
pays, I said if she pays,
Yeah,
or
pays from
if
what money though? She's a slave. Like pays from
but
what money?
she wasn't a slave 5 seconds ago.
And the money went to Bayt al-Mal. Like the war was lost and she lost all her money.
Bro, you're talking to me about Islamic fiqh of war when you again
No.
have
But
absolutely
I'm
nothing.
just asking you about a position with objective morality. How do you expect a slave to buy their own freedom? I don't understand this nonsense.
Okay. Again, there is mukataba, which Islamically, I don't know if you've ever heard about, where a slave could ask to be freed and will receive money from the owner and to free themselves.
Is that the rule? Like a slave would kiss the owner's ass, please free me. Is that really the rule?
But do you
Like,
think Islamic slavery is like the slavery that we saw in North America?
let's just get back to the point. Will you let your sister and your mother and everyone be a slave? Is that fair?
In a war, I prefer that over them being destroyed and raped, which happened in Syria, which happened in Iraq.
No. What is it? Don't give me those examples. I'm giving you the alternative. No, I'm giving you the alternative.
I prefer
Wait, what your people?
over all of these alternatives.
I am not American, whatever. Don't give me those people. The other option is killing them humanely. Yallah, killing them humanely.
And you're
in the
thinking
Islamic
that
way.
killing them humanely is the solution.
You would rather your wife and your mother be concubines than be killed humanely. I'm just asking you. I know it's tough.
So you're thinking I prefer my mom to be dead than to be taken
Then
to
be a
prison
sex slave.
that I could
Sex slave.
Like you're talking out of. Do you know what the rulings
You're not
are?
answering the question.
But what
What's
is
a
your alternative?
concubine?
You're saying kill them. You're saying kill them.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you're
Would you rather your mom live as okay? Do you not realize how okay? This is concubinage is one of the things that I.
You're the moral. You're the moral. You're the moral.
You're just deflecting. You're just deflecting. You're still deflecting. Don't.
Just so you know, if you did want to die, we would execute you Islamically.
That's cute, but that's not what I asked.
What's cute? If you wanted to die, we would execute you Islamically. And it has
right, rather than take them as a concubine, right? So your two options are either take.
So according to you, if the slaves say, you know what, I don't want to live this life, kill me, we'll kill you. Now what?
I would love a fatwa on that, but also.
I'll give you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because the slave's life is not worth anything. That's right. It's only it's not worth anything if the owner is the one who's killing. But let's finish that analogy though.
Prisoner of war
Concubines.
Says, I want you to kill me.
Yeah.
He has the right to be executed, and so according to you, that goes with the same morality that you have.
So so your mom is not only a concubine, like not just a female slave. That's another option. Just a slave, right? You want slavery. You want indenture slave. Why does it have to be concubine? Are you okay with your mom being my concubine, like my army's concubine?
But all of a sudden, when I give you the answer to what you already believe in, you're not okay with it. If she wanted to be executed, she
No, we're still in the same scenario, right? Because Allah allowed the other option being concubinage, right?
Sure.
What happens? So why not just like slavery? Why concubinage?
As opposed to what? As opposed to
not having sex with your slave. It's not that hard.
Okay. And are you allowed to force yourself on your slave? You know the answer. You know you're not allowed.
Okay,
So
now we're talking about the consent dynamics of a slave master relationship, Habib. I'm asking you, would you accept your mom being in that position rather than the option just a prisoner of war?
if
No
my
sex
mom is okay with
concubinage.
it for herself and she consents because it's Islamically, but I don't understand. Again, I still don't understand where your perspective is to kill her as opposed to her having consensual sex by her with her slave owner would be the issue. You're saying kill
Wait.
her.
So let me describe the situation because you seem to gloss over a lot of details. Your father, right, in this war, either was killed or captured, like yesterday, right? You're saying your mom's going to join my religion or whatever, and then she's going to be a concubine consensually with some other guy within days.
Bro,
In what situation is consent even like?
bro, if you're gonna ask me
What are
for
these
my position
fantasies?
on the Islamic
Yeah.
rulings of what to do with prisoners of war, I believe Islamic is the most logical and most actual practical way.
I'm
Your
saying,
one
is it
is
fair
kill a
against
bunch of
you?
people.
Is it
Is mass
fair? Is it fair?
mass execution.
Is it fair against you? أترضاه لنفسك? Would you be okay for this happening to you?
But you're asking a very dumb question. Like, why would anybody want his mom to be captured?
No, I'm saying you're forced into this situation. Why would anyone want to have Muslims take over their village, or either they join Islam or they're in trouble, and then they have concubines? Like, why would anyone want to be in that situation? It's not their choice either.
Nobody want
Is it
exactly.
fair
So
from the other point of view?
what a weird
Is
question.
it fair from the other point of view? It's not a weird question. If you think it's fair, Allah mandated it's fair to happen to you, right?
Do you understand that it's a
Had the
war?
shoe been on the other foot?
But I still don't
Had
understand
the
what's
shoe
your
been on the other
alternative.
foot?
My point is, I would never want to be in that position. If I am in that position, I will do everything to make sure my mom is not a slave. I will fight. I make sure that she fights. If I knew that she has the right to be freed the same way that Islam allows it to be, bro, I'll make sure I'll send her money to free her because Islam still allows people that
Send
are
her what
slaves.
money? You're a slave too. You're a slave too. You're dead. You don't
But
know. Like we're in war.
mukataba, bro, you don't understand any of these rules of Islam, and then you're just, bro, what is mukataba?
What? Why are you like running
What's
around in
mukataba?
circles? And
I keep mentioning that we'll do mukataba, and you tell me
I know you keep trying to flex the word mukataba, right? And you want to tell
what
me
is it?
if I had to get some context clues, it's to like buy your own freedom, right?
How?
Or to have a discussion with your owner.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
You're
says,
really
"فَكَاتِبُوهُنَّ إِنْ
deflecting
عَلِمْتُمْ
so
فِيهِنَّ خَيْرًا."
hard. You're deflecting so hard. You're like, hey, what's mukataba, guys? Look at my big muscle. What's
But
mukataba? All
Allah,
right,
no,
let's focus on the
because I
point,
tell you
Habib.
they'll buy their freedom.
Would
So I
you
tell you,
take
Allah
it?
subhanahu
Would
wa
you
ta'ala
take it
says,
the other way around?
فَكَاتِبُوا
Would you take it the other way around? It's that simple.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَكَاتِبُهُنْ إِنْ عَلِمْتُمْ فِيهِمْ خَيْرًا. If you knew that there is good from them, make sure to do mukataba, to actually make a system where these people buy their own freedom because you know there are good in them.
Adel, they're slaves. You're telling slaves to buy their own freedom. I'm
But bro,
asking you a very simple question.
your response
Why are
is
you getting into
execution.
all of? You're
Your
getting into all
response
of
is
this. I'm asking you
execution.
a simple question.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking you a simple question. Okay, two questions. I'm wrong. Maybe not execution, just prison, right? Just prison. Would you rather your mom be a concubine or just in prison?
In prison.
Okay, then why did Allah make it concubinage? Don't you see how it's unfair from the other point of view?
You're thinking we had the facilities to make prisons in that time, and even if we did,
You had
think
the
that
facilities not to hump your slaves. It's that easy. There's no
okay,
facilities there.
and you do require consent. So what's the issue then?
What
You do
consent,
require
Habibi? You just killed their family members. In this case, you're deluding us into believing that there was consent. You're
But
saying that a
according to you,
master, slave, there's consent. A slave can consent to her master. He owns her.
but your
He can
response
very
is you
easily
should kill
abuse
her.
her.
So you should kill her.
No. Like, just keep her a
What
prisoner.
should you kill
Just keep her a
her?
prisoner.
Should I execute
Just keep her a prisoner. If the two options are sex slave or death, obviously, I know a lot of people who choose death, but
So you're telling
they
me
could
I
have
should
kept him
kill
as.
your mom. So I know you like to deflect because you didn't find the answer. Should we kill her?
No.
Should we
If
kill
my
her?
mom, if the two options were to give my mom to a disgusting cult that will keep her as a sex slave,
Should we
or
kill her?
to have her die, I'd rather her die with her dignity
So
than to
you
become a
would
sex
prefer
slave.
that your
Yeah,
mom is
عيب
dead
عيب
as opposed to being
عيب.
somebody's worker because again slavery is not the same thing that we
Not
understand.
worker, not worker, not worker, not worker. Let's
But
not
it's
mince
not the
words.
slavery that you know. It's they still have
No,
laws to respect.
let's not mince
They eat
words.
from the
I don't
food
care how
of the
many rights
master.
they have. They can't leave. They can't leave, and they're on top of that
Can't leave
concubinage.
what?
Adel. Concubinage versus
But
regular
can't leave what?
slavery.
But what can they leave? Could they free
They
themselves?
can't leave. They can free themselves with money that they're going to get from their generous owners. What if the owners are not generous? Yallah, forever a slave.
There are requirements to be able to free a slave. The thing is, bro, like I'm saying, I'm discussing something that you have no knowledge of. Your issue with
No,
Islam is
you're deflecting something. Just because you know a few more details, you're deflecting. You're really deflecting.
Your issue with Islam is not this.
No, this is one of the issues with Islam. You're asking me, I'm talking about objective morality. I want to know objectively, if this is objective morality, you should take it just like you would have taken it on the other side. This is objective morality, right?
Okay, so you want me to go with, yeah, I would allow it for my mom the same way that I would allow it for somebody else's mom.
If it is objectively the truth, then in the opposite situation, like if that was what I think God told me, then you should be okay with that situation, with that arrangement.
I will tell you, I would prefer that my mom goes through whatever Islamically we would do to other women than what they go through right now in Syria, in America.
That's not the alternative. That's not the alternative.
This is the reality, bro. You're talking about nonsense.
The reality during the days of the Prophet wasn't Syria. The reality during the days of the Prophet, Allah could have done anything, kun fayakun. You're telling me the only alternative, either they rape them or they have them as concubines?
I prefer the reality of things because you're talking about wishful thinking. The reality of what's
No. I'm asking you during the days of the Prophet. Yalla, why are we talking about Syria or Syria?
Yeah, are you telling me that
Guantanamo? What the hell, man? Guantanamo? Adel, it's very easy. It's very easy, Adel. It's very easy. It's very easy.
Do you think Quraysh wasn't raping and killing the girls on the other side?
Again, whataboutism is the name of the game. It's a very simple question. Would you rather your mom be a concubine or just a regular slave?
A regular slave. What's like? What I want.
Then why did Allah put that option there? So if you say it's objective, you should take it. You should take it and you should like it because.
I'll give you an example. Okay, if you drink alcohol and you have witnesses in front of you, you should be lashed, right? Okay, you should be lashed. Then you're gonna ask me, do you prefer being lashed or be set free? I'll tell. How would a normal human being tell you not to be set free? It just doesn't make sense. Your question has a problem with it. You're telling me.
No. You should be able to say, I deserve the lashing.
If you I don't know, you stole $20,000 from a bank. Do you prefer going to prison or do you want to be set free? Set free. Like, do you prefer prison or house arrest?
That's a very different example. In this example, your mom is faultless. In this example, your mother is faultless. Your mother, her only fault is living in a tribe that went to war with another tribe or had war come into their city. All right? Your mother is faultless.
If you went out and said, I'm free of what these people have done, we're not going to treat you like that. Like, the problem is there are too many rules.
If her husband was in war, that's a concubine. She's faultless, but that's a concubine.
I am free of this war. We will free her. But there are too many rules to this game that I didn't study enough because I'm not.
You're deflecting so hard. You're deflecting so hard, Adel. Adel, I'm asking you: would you rather your mom be Is it fair? Okay, is it fair that your mom would be a concubine?
You're so confident when it comes to the rules of war of Islam, but your purpose of life, bro. Your purpose of life. You have the hardest time.
Again, with the purpose of life bullshit.
Why are you not so knowledgeable about the details of war of the Islamic religion? But why are you alive? You have absolutely no idea, bro. Why are you
I can
here?
answer that for you.
Bro, why
I can answer that for you.
You're having a hard time. But you tell me, do you prefer... What the heck are you even saying, bro? Like, why are you talking about details?
I can answer that for you.
Honestly, honestly, why are you telling me...
All right.
You talk about details of details. Wallahi, you blow my...
The reason why these details came up is that we're talking about objective morality because you were saying I cannot judge anything with my subjective morality. I'm demonstrating how the subjective morality is shit, to be honest. It's not what you think it is. I'm demonstrating with one example how it would be bad for you if you were on the receiving end of it. But you seem to not like my purpose in life. Like I said before, some things have open-ended answers, right? The reason why I know more about this than my purpose in life is I looked into this for longer. As a Muslim, I was like, God, please make it sense. Anyone around me, help me understand why concubinage was ever allowed. Why slavery? I like slavery, and I understood prisons of war, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine, mashina. Concubinage. Why? That one part. So then I'm demonstrating to you how this objective morality is actually awful. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, and you think that the Quran, the book that pretty much, if you say wallah by acts, say wallah about something and you lied, that tells you to free a slave, is not a book that wanted slaves to be freed?
Wait, say that again?
If I said wallah, okay, and I lied, it requires me to free a slave. If I stole something, requires me to free not stole something. But if I said to my wife, "You're like my mother," I require me to free a slave. If I kill somebody by accident, it requires me to free a slave. It's a literal book that had a system of
I know.
slavery and kept freeing
Right.
slaves. But then you're going to tell me that you figured it out, which executing them, which means they have absolutely no chance of redemption, is the solution. Because you know what? You sat down for 5 minutes where you couldn't figure out your purpose of life, but you figured out what to do with a war that is so complicated, right?
So, so much loaded in that. I need to, section it out before I answer first. First of all, you put me on the spot asking me, is it better to death or sex slavery? I still kind of stand by death, but that needs some more debate to understand what sex slavery means, concubinage. But like, I don't understand why you're so pressed about me not having a determined purpose in life that is, kiss God's behind, or else he's going to put me in hell forever.
Bro,
The reason why I thought about
my
these,
pillow
like,
has a more purpose than you do, bro. Like, how would you ask me, why are you alive on this planet? Is such a basic question, bro. Such a basic question.
it seems like you just plug your ears whenever I talk about this, and then you lose your mind when you don't understand what I said about my purpose in life. I'm sorry that my purpose in life is not as cut as dry as yours. It doesn't mean that yours is better just because you have a longer list. I don't know if that makes sense enough. But I'm trying to demonstrate to you how your objective morality that you use as a weapon, you would not like to happen to you, right? You would not like this to happen to your mother.
I would definitely not like any of the hudud to happen to me. Any of the hudud.
No, not just the hudud. You think it's a safe way of handling. You're in the situation. You're forced. The options are: can she be a prisoner of war, or a slave, or a concubine? Why did Allah leave concubine as an option?
None of the hudud to happen to me. What's the issue with that?
Right, you're forced. Your mother is unfortunate enough, just like those women. Those women didn't choose it, right? They're unfortunate enough to be in that situation. What is the best thing to happen? That's not an option for these women, is it? But that's not an option for people who aren't Muslim.
Yeah, that's not an option for a bunch of Ghazawis. Don't see them having, I don't see you crying for them. You know what I mean? Like,
I made videos about Palestine. Again, like, you're deflecting so hard. What the hell does this have to Palestine?
There's a reality.
The reality of life is when I see you making excuses for concubinage and not realizing that it's an awful, terrible thing, it makes me trust your judgment about everything else a lot less. That's the problem.
You're also the same guy that makes fun of the Prophet every 5 seconds and be like, but I'm very respectful. It almost makes me feel like your judgment has a lot.
5 seconds? I mentioned the Prophet in a couple of sketches, and in one of them he was holding a glass of wine. I don't know why.
Bro, look, at the end of the day,
Are you threatened by me being funnier than you? Because I didn't come at your humor, which is, there's a little bit of it. But
I would say you're funny looking, but then again, we don't see your face. So, bro, half of your personality.
Can someone take a screenshot? Because taking this with the screenshot just says a picture says 100 words. So.
Bro, I would just say half of your personality is that half of your face is hidden. Bro, you and my wife have so much in common. Bro,
that's pretty gay. That's pretty gay. Don't you realize how gay you're being right now? I don't understand what the fixation is with our masks, guys. You cannot handle my whole face. You really cannot handle my whole face.
You consistently live in fear when you think you live on the truth. Like, subhanallah, don't you see that Allah is punishing you?
I consistently live in fear. You want to talk about fear, Habibi? You want to talk about fear? You want to talk about fear? Your buddy and yourself doxing people. That's fear, right?
Guys, I'm not
guys,
scared.
He's short-circuiting.
Guys, bro, wallah,
he's short-circuiting.
Every 5 seconds you are living in fear right now, bro. How could you talk about
only one of us has been screaming on the top of his lungs about the other one's purpose in life, and I think that says a lot more about this conversation that I can sum it up.
How it's such a basic question.
Okay, it's such a basic question, and I give you an answer, and then you ask the same question again. The reason why I care about hell, let me break it down to you as someone whose empathy was probably muted by religion, right? As a Muslim, I had enough empathy to fear, to think about, I asked this question, what happens to disbelievers who are good people? I get told either, we don't worry about that, Allahu A'lam, God's going to deal with it, or people like you do, they rationalize it as those who go to hell deserve it and they must be bad people one way or another. And that didn't sit right with me. And that empathy is part of why I just don't believe in hell. And it hurts me when I see people saying, we think you deserve to burn forever and ever, but we're all cool because we're still on earth, so it doesn't count. That's still hateful, regardless of whether I think it's going to happen or not. So that's why I speak about hell.
So you're upset about hell because people say you're going to hell type thing? Or like it's hateful to say you're going to hell?
That people have this so casually accept this idea that a good person, like forget about Aladdin, the character, the person, just someone who left Islam, for example. People accept it and sometimes cheer it, the idea that this person's they're gonna burn till their skin falls off. Someone whose crime is just not believing. And the fact that you made peace with that and move on with your life makes me trust you a lot less and makes me fear anyone with the same belief system. It makes me worry, are they thinking that about me? How can they be so hateful towards me?
So you're saying
right?
Any person who believes in hell is a hateful person?
No, there's a lot of people who put it aside. There's a lot of people who rub it in our faces. That's obviously hateful. But the fact that, like, on some level you've made peace with the fact that God's going to burn a lot of people in hell, you think they deserve it, but a lot of other people just translate it to, therefore, the disbelievers are bad because they deserve it. Like, how do you make peace with that and just live a good life?
I'll tell you how. I'll make sure that I don't make it to hell. Ultimately, my issue is
That's the most selfish thing I've ever heard.
100% when it comes to the afterlife, you firstly have to be selfish. Firstly. So you would say that I would have to make sure that why would I want to go to hell? Why would I not protect myself first?
That's very selfish. I mean, I'm not saying I want to go to hell, but I'm saying you're thinking me, and that's exactly what I got from every sheikh that I asked. They're like, just focus on you, don't go to hell. And when you focus on you, no, but then you're still not answering the question. You're distracting yourself from the question, which is how can God send good people to hell?
I don't believe God will send good people to hell.
Meaning that disbelievers are bad people. It's one or the other.
Meaning whoever Allah puts in hell is not a good person.
Which is disbelievers.
Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in hell is not a good person. Why do you have a problem with that?
Which is disbelievers. Just say it. Like have the courage to say it.
Yeah, I don't know. Some disbelievers maybe Allah will save them, which then that's left for Allah. But why do you have a problem with that?
No, I'm asking you very clearly, not saving.
That my Lord has ultimate wisdom.
No, I have a problem with you believing that some people deserve to go to hell because they don't worship your Lord.
I believe that my Lord is the one who created me, the one who told me what my purpose of life is, the one who told me how to live my life, the one who told me how to be a good or a bad person. If then I go around and I deny every single thing and then I start making up my own rules, when the number one rule is just not...
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you killed your empathy and you don't see a problem with good people going to hell. Like if you were truly... I'll give you my point of view, okay? Because I think we're very different. Because your first thought was, I'm going to focus on me. My first thought was, what about all these people? What can I do about it? And I thought, okay, let me maybe become a dawah person, right? Obviously, I didn't have the knowledge to become a dawah person, but I thought, save as many as you can, right? Because they're all people going to hell if I don't do something about it. But then I realized, what about the people who no one gets to them, right? And there's a lot of people who no one's going to get to them, or they're going to hear about Islam, even from you, and they're going to disbelieve. Don't you still worry about why are they going to hell?
I do. I hope that everybody, even yourself, I hope that you make it to paradise. And knowing that Islam is the truth, it upsets me thinking that you're not going to make it to paradise. Hence why I spend a lot of time speaking to ex-Muslims.
But then you're okay with like your books, they're not just like threatening with hell, but there's a lot of insults in them as well to disbelievers. And you don't see that as a problem? That's why we speak up against it?
Absolutely not. When the one who created you calls you whatever he wants to call you, there's absolutely no problem. What's the hate that they're the worst of creation type thing? Like what is the hate that you receive? So your book says that God says worst of creations, they're misers, like Surah Al-Ma'un is all just basically slander. It's like, have you seen أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدْعُو الْيَتِيمَ? It's like, have you seen this person? That is the one who is bad. Have you seen this? There's a lot of this slander, and then there's, they're like animals. You're saying if God wants to call you that, he can call you whatever he wants. That's how we're thinking differently. Your book says that your God is calling me that. That's as if I bring an atheist God and I'm like, my God said that you were an animal. It's not me, it's my God, it's religion. Can't talk about it. No,
You
but
see
Allah
it?
subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the issue, Habibi, is not all disbelievers are the same thing. Like I said, Abu Talib is not the same thing as Abu Jahl, right? And just because it says it's like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something about the believers, it's not all equal the believers are like this.
Then he's
Just
very
because it
inaccurate
talks
with his
about
speech.
disbelievers doesn't talk about all of you.
Well, can you imagine if I said Muslims so and so and I said some very awful things, and I mean, no, specific Muslims, not all of them, not all types of Muslims. That would be hate speech still. So when God doesn't put the context of which disbeliever is an animal, which disbeliever is the worst of creation, which one is the miser, it's all just an amalgam of hate speech that disbelievers are awful people, right?
Okay, I understand, but I'm telling you that when even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about believers, He doesn't talk about all the believers as one, which is the good thing.
I know
He
that.
doesn't talk about the good as one, and He doesn't talk about the bad as one.
But he generalizes the disbelievers, and the
Sure, he
outcome of that is
generalizes
that
the
there's a lot of
believers
hate
too.
coming.
I understand.
Right,
And
but
Allah
one is a
subhanahu
good thing, one is a bad thing. Why do we get the short end of the stick? And
because
here's
you're
the thing, like,
disbeliever. Like what? What? You're the disbeliever.
no,
What do you
no,
want
no,
a cake? You want a cake for
no.
Christmas?
Hear,
Or something?
hear me out.
It's for
If I write a book, and I said all the atheists are good, or I generalize atheists and I generalize Muslims and I say, but not all Muslims, but many of them, they deserve their skin boiled off. They deserve to be crucified. They deserve to this. Not all Muslims, but you have to figure out the context from hadith, because I'm not going to tell you which ones. Are you going to be happy with that?
No. Ultimately, bro, Habibi, it's the creation of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who decides
Just
what
answer
He
my
says.
question. Would you be okay with my religion saying that about you?
About your religion saying that I'm going to hell? Christians say that. I don't care. Jews say that.
Yeah, but
Not
you
Jews.
don't care if someone in your community, Christians are so far removed from you for the most part, right? Like we're not a tight-knit community. Can you imagine your loved ones saying to you, I have a religion now that says you're going to hell and you're a
But why
bad
would
person according to God?
But why do you care? You think it's imagination?
You wouldn't care. You wouldn't care if
No,
your
no.
half of your
According to
family
you, you
members were
shouldn't
like,
care. No, according to you, like when Christians say you're going to burn in hell, I don't care because I sincerely think they're not right.
right, because you also think they're gonna burn in hell, so you've got your thing, or like you've got your own like system going on. I watch both of you, and I'm like, guys, it is awful that you're even saying that someone deserves to go to hell for something as menial as like disbelief. There's empathy there. That's regardless of what I believe actually happens. I'm not worried about going to hell, but you saying that just makes things weird, you know? Like,
Bro, it just sounds like you actually care and it's turning you. And you're low-key
no,
scared
of
of
course it bothers me that, no,
That-
not low-key scared of it. Like, dude, I get more nightmares about the dark than I do about, like, that's a joke, obviously, but than I would about hell like these days. I used to get nightmares about hell when I really like still believed in that stuff, but now I know it's just a man-made construct. But
Yeah.
it makes me sad seeing people like say this about other people, about me, about like again, can you imagine being on the receiving end of it? And I'm not saying this about Aladdin, about an ex-Muslim, just it's in the book since before I was even born. So how can you not oppose something like that?
Opposed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that people who disobey will be punished?
No, oppose a group of people saying that their God says you're the worst of the worst.
Sure. And you should not care because according to you, you don't believe in it.
So you shouldn't care about hate speech against Muslims then, because
There is hate speech against Muslims technically in the Bible.
Yeah, but you care about it as you should, because
Why
you're
I don't care
empathetic.
about it. But why would I care
You don't
about
care
it? I
about hate
don't
speech
believe
against.
in the book. Do you get my concept,
Like,
bro?
I'm trying to.
It sounds like you believe in something you say you don't believe.
No, I believe that it's awful for people to tell that to other people, to like tell them, I believe you're going to boil in hell
So you think it's
because you
awful
don't
for
want
a
to follow
teacher
my
to say
story.
whoever fails the exam will fail?
Again, this teacher analogy is dumb because there's not one teacher. There's a bunch of alleged teachers that never show up. The sub is not here. The class is all over the place. That's not a good analogy. So all I'm saying is, look, you have to at least see where I'm coming from about Islam has a lot of ambiguity that leaves a lot of room for hate against us. For example, for laws that are like very hateful towards blasphemers, and by blasphemers, anyone who speaks anything about Islam, apostates who don't shut up about it and go silently. How am I supposed to feel about that?
Like you're upset that Islam doesn't want you to preach against Islam?
No, I'm upset that Islam is such a totalitarian religion that it destroys families and communities because they won't. It's so self-policed that they won't even let the people among them leave Islam.
But I believe you calling people to leave
I'm
Islam.
not calling for people to leave Islam, though. I'm not. I don't do debates where I'm like, I'm disproving Islam. I'm doing this. I'm talking about, this is one thing that I found absurd in Islam. This is what I don't believe in about
literally sounds like
Islam.
you're upset that there's consequences to your actions.
It literally sounds like you're not listening, honestly.
But are you upset that there's consequences in Islam for your actions?
Oh, you mean consequences as in like rules that are against people like myself? Yes. Like, yes. Wouldn't you hate it if wherever you live?
Do you want ex-Muslims to receive a cake?
Wait, wouldn't you hate it if where you lived Muslims were executed for, publicly being Muslim, leaving atheism?
I'm just wondering. Do you want Muslims?
No, I'm just wondering. Because your analogies are getting weird.
Because
right?
You're
actions
saying
of what?
God.
Actions of not believing.
Because right now you're living free wherever you are in the world. Like nobody knows, nobody cares about what you're doing. But ultimately, you're upset at something that you're not even experiencing. Like you're.
What are you talking? You don't know my life. You don't know what I'm experiencing, and I'm not getting into details about that. That's why I keep it vague. I'm asking you, regardless of whether I'm experiencing it or not, I'm asking you, would you accept the same thing towards you? If you lived in a land that you were born into it, right? Everyone's an atheist. Join Islam and you will be executed.
But we do, do you understand that Christians believe that we're going to hell?
I don't care about Christians. I care about my people.
Yes, you're
the people that I grew up with.
I live in Canada, which is more Christian. They believe that I'm not a believer. They believe that they need to save my soul.
Yeah, most Christians, they're not your people. Like, I'm not telling you just random Christians. Imagine your people that you care about, the people that you grew up with, telling you, you're going to hell. Unless you listen to me about this invisible creature whispering in your ear. And I'm asking you, how would you feel if the tables were turned? If there were rules against you leaving the current religion?
But there is rules.
Do you think
so many people want us to remove our... But you're acting... Bro, it's very hypocritical. You're acting like it's not happening. How many laws against hijab happen? How many things against Islam happen? Like, I don't understand.
What aboutism? What aboutism? Again, it's not this versus that. It's not me arguing for taking off the hijab.
But what do you want? Like,
it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
You sound like you're hurt and you want me to console you, bro. It's never going to be okay to be
I'm trying to...
It's never going to be okay for you to call against Allah.
Wait, say it again. It's never going to be okay to what? To be an ex-Muslim?
To be an ex-Muslim. It's never going to be okay to call against Allah.
I'm just glad we're getting your thoughts out in the open, because I'm proving the point that you guys are the instigators. Like, we leave Islam, if it was a smooth transition, if people were like, you even said no one cares if you leave Islam, and then in the same breath you say, it'll never be okay if you're an ex-Muslim.
Yeah, but it's not because, it's not going to be okay to me. I don't care. It's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay Islamically.
Right, so you're saying you have a fascist regime. You have a fascist regime where it's not going to be okay to leave it. You don't see the issue with that?
But it's very weird that I'm discussing morality with somebody who absolutely decides what his morality is.
That's a very funny way to run away from it. I'm just asking you.
It's not.
Right?
You call Islam
it's a very, very funny way. It's always... No. You're always going back to, what do you believe in? Objective morality. Just your two scapegoats here.
I'm asking you. You don't know what you believe in.
I've said it to you like 3 times. I don't know if there's like some kind of language barrier.
Everything.
I'm asking you something simple here, because you keep switching.
What's the simple?
Let's get back to the point. Yeah. Do you not see how the way you just described Islam? It is a fascist state. If you leave it, you should be executed because it's treason or whatever. Are you okay with that?
Nobody said that you should be. Are you, is people in the West threatening to kill you?
What? I thought we were just talking about the execution law in Islam, right? Of execution for apostasy, or not being okay being an ex-Muslim.
No, you know there are different stats. You know that there are different stats.
Why are we deflecting? Let's say in Canada right now, they said it's not okay to be a Muslim. It's not okay to be a Muslim in Canada. What are you going to do about that? Is that fair? It's not okay to be a Muslim in Canada.
I would leave Canada.
Oh, you'd leave Canada. All right. Then, so is it fair if we do that to Muslims, like you're doing that to ex-Muslims in Middle Eastern countries?
If people preached against Islamically, they preached against Allah and led people to hell, you want me to be okay with that?
No. It's apostasy is not just about leaving and preaching and stuff. It's also if you leave and you're not quiet about it. But yeah, sure. Are you okay with the opposite of that?
It's preaching. You want me
No,
to be
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the usual case. Ya akhi, let me go die. I don't care. Now, are you okay with you being executed if you preach Islam in Canada?
Sorry, if I should be okay with preaching Islam in Canada?
Are you okay with the law of the land in Canada being if you preach Islam, you get executed? If you leave atheism or secularism or whatever, you get executed. You okay with that?
Leave Canada. No, I would leave Canada.
So you'd be okay being exiled out of Canada because they implemented a rule that would execute you, right?
Yes, well, I would leave Canada 100%. What's your issue?
So you're okay? No, okay. So you're saying you would accept it. You'd just be like, Canada, you have your rights. I'm just going to renounce my citizenship. I'm going to go to another country or else I'll be executed. You'll absolutely say that. You see no problem with that.
Yes, like, why would I stay in Canada and risk being executed? I don't understand your question.
So you see, like when people, Muslims leave Islam, right? You say that they deserve execution. Of course, they leave to another place, but you're exiling out of there, right? And you think that's moral, then I guess it's moral for us to start a campaign to remove Muslims from Canada, right? Because that's the same morality.
But I very, very. Do you see these laws being practiced right now? Like, you're very, very weird.
No. Don't come at me with, do you see them being practiced? Is it the law or is it not the law? Like, pick a lane. Is it the law? Is it not the law?
It's the law. It's the law. What's the issue?
طب خلاص, let's start a law in Canada that pushes out Muslims unless they convert or they're executed for being Muslim.
What is the religion of Canada?
I'll start a new religion. I'll say it's from God. Whatever. I'm just demonstrating the point. No. This is not a religion. Like, don't come at me with atheism or religion thing. I'm just posing a situation to get you to look at it from the other point of view, right? Are you okay with this idea that you'd be executed in a country where?
But it's, I don't know, bro. I actually.
It's different because God is mandating it. That's what you think, right?
100%. It's very different because God is mandating it.
I'm glad you said it because that's just the special pleading fallacy that basically. God said so.
If you believe that this was from God, would you accept it?
No, that's the thing. I don't believe that any of this is from God.
Would you accept it?
That's such a weird question. If you're saying
absolutely no morality. Why am I discussing morality?
Again, the no morality thing. We should have a no morality counter on this one.
You could decide to do what. You could sleep with a donkey.
Not the person.
Could you sleep with a donkey?
Oh, you went there. You could sleep with a donkey and think it's. I swear to God, every 12-year-old with half a brain comes up with this stuff.
I'm very curious. According to your law, are you allowed to sleep with a donkey and get away with it?
Dude, I'm so close to saying some ad hominem that's very.
Why do you keep, bro? Wallahi, I'm very curious to why.
Are you serious? Would you sleep with a donkey? Can you imagine if I asked Muslims, "Hey, Muslims, why don't you sleep with donkeys?"
Because we're not allowed.
Because we're not allowed. Because I'm not a bestiality. Because I don't need God to tell me not to fuck donkeys, Adel. It's that easy. Oh my God. Oh my God.
But that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God. Like, how obtuse are you guys? Seriously. Why don't I fuck donkeys? Because they're not my type, Adel. Jesus. And because there's a lot of ethical issues there. And I'm making a joke. And there's ethical reasons there, Adel. There's ethical reasons there. A donkey cannot consent.
All I'm trying to show you is your morality will change depending if the donkey becomes your type, then all of a sudden your morality changes.
All you showed is that you sound like an idiot, Adel. I'm making a joke. The real reason why I don't have sex with a donkey, okay, if you really want to listen to it, aside from the fact that most normal people don't have urges that they need God to tell them not to do, it's morally unethical because the donkey does not have the mental capacity to understand what is going on, to consent to it. Aside from the whole thing being hella gross, it cannot consent to that, right? Now, do we want to apply that to Aisha? Do we want to go there? Bro, talking about donkey sex?
Consent, you figured it out.
Yeah.
Could animals give consent if they humped you?
Huh?
What if the animal humped you? Then all of a sudden you're okay with it?
Oh my God, how stupid is this line of thinking?
I just want to show you.
Then I am not consenting and it's a fucking animal, Adel. Do you need God to tell you not to fuck animals? Seriously, is that where we're going with this live stream?
According to you, you could.
You're not deminating anything. You're not demonstrating anything. You're not demonstrating. You always go to this objective morality, blah blah blah. Therefore, you fuck animals. Every single time, is this in Kutub al-Fiqh or something? Is there like a fiqh? Is there a fatwa issued? Like whenever you talk to an atheist, tell them they have no morality and to fuck donkeys. Like I don't know where you get this from.
We don't need a fatwa. You don't know where your morality comes from. You feel, therefore you are. Bro, this is the new philosophy for you guys, right? You feel something, and therefore it's good. This is what you want to do for the day.
I know you're saying it as if like you're minimizing everything I said and you're making it sound silly, but at the end of the day, you're the one who just no. You're the one who just said, "Why don't we fuck a donkey?" Like I don't think, guys, we need to savor this moment. I don't think you realize how dumb you sounded when you asked, "How come you don't fuck a donkey?" Like I can't believe.
Because you don't feel like it.
Like I was making a joke, Adel. I was making a joke. And I explained why consent, and now you're saying, what if the donkey fucks you? What are we even talking about? What is with this bestiality fest? Holy shit, Muslims, where's your head at? Where's your head at? Every time I talk to a Muslim, they're like, why don't you fuck dogs? Like, what the hell? What the hell? Is that what you guys have like resorted to? People wonder why I don't do
get
these.
your morality from? Yeah, we will keep asking you where your morality is from.
That's not what you're asking. You're asking me why I don't fuck dogs. Adel, like, get your story straight. Sorry, donkeys. Donkeys, yeah.
Bro, all I'm saying is
Christ.
you keep bringing up morality. I'm gonna question you on your morality. If you're gonna bring up morality,
and then I'm gonna keep talking about it. You're gonna keep saying objective morality. You're not gonna listen to anything I'm saying, and you're gonna make fun of it. And
that's all I'm trying to prove, by the way, is why we discussed.
You're the one who brought it up. You're the one who brought it up.
But yeah, how do you know? But how? That's what I'm saying. But how would you know? How would you know what you're thinking is right if you're the one who decides what's right or not wrong?
No, you want to get all philosophical. How do you know that God told you any of this? Like that's what it boils down to.
But that's it. That's what you do. You study the book. Do you see it's from God or not?
No, and a lot of people see it as not.
No, you don't study the book to see if it's from God or not.
No, I don't see this is from God. Like it's that easy. I know you think that's some kind of a win. I know you think that's kind of like a mic drop, like, oh, you don't read the book, woo, and you fuck dogs, like, oh my God, this has been a disaster.
I didn't think it was a mic drop at all, but if you think it was, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm just saying, bro.
This is a disaster.
All I'm saying, Habibi, is you make your personality around something that you don't believe in, and you have a hard time of us accepting.
You're back to the same first fucking point we're talking about. Like, this is why I don't bother with this.
You've never answered it. You've never answered it, and you're frustrated, and I get it.
Chat, have I answered it, or?
But
I mean, I'd be frustrated. Like, you'd be frustrated talking to you. Like, holy shit, the patience that I have, guys.
Full circle to the first question I asked you. Full circle, because, bro, at the end of the day, you're very good at pointing fingers. But like, 3 fingers are pointing.
No, it's a full circle because you have some kind of, I don't know, you have some kind of issue understanding what I'm saying. And I keep repeating to you and you keep saying the same thing. Oh, so you want to be happy, make people happy. And I'm like, oh my God, it's exhausting.
That's it.
It's exhausting.
I was thinking about
but if you want the highlights, you're happy with your mom being a concubine if it's necessary instead of being a slave, right? If you want to go for the highlights.
Again, why are we talking about morality, bro? You don't know your purpose. It's very simple.
You started with morality, but anyway, I think this has arrived at its conclusion now. So yeah,
I agree.
Hope you enjoyed, everyone, the show.
Bro, I would like for you to actually fulfill your purpose of making people happy and stop talking about Islam. Make a lot of people happy.
I know it bothers you so much, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to fulfill that request for you.
It doesn't bother me because I'm scared I get misguided. I'm scared that you do end up leading people to hellfire the way you react.
Trust me, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I know you're not worried. Obviously, you're not worried. I'm not talking about you.
No, I have more trust in this fictional God than you do, because if God is going to send someone to hell because they happen to see one of my videos, and if I hadn't made that video that day, one more person would have gone to heaven, then what is the haphazardness of this plan, right?
Okay, so you're saying if somebody, again, always you implementing whatever you feel like on God, and God should obey whatever you feel. And notice how you become the God of God because you want him to fulfill whatever you think is right and not what he thinks.
You just told me that you think God is going to give us guidance because that's what you think God should do, right?
I said your reason why I'm not scared of you. I just don't want you to misguide people. That's what I said. No,
I'm saying earlier you said that God would give guidance, right? Earlier you said God would give guidance. It only makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's only natural because God exists, therefore he must give guidance. Now you're making that decision for God, or you're making that judgment that of course he's going to give guidance. And I'm saying, of course he's not going to torture for disbelief. It's the same thing. We're not
Yeah,
so
but
different.
that's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Allah will He will punish for disbelief.
And I'm not
That's
scared of that anymore. And I get to talk about how that is silly rather than scary. And it only upsets people like you, and it seems to be doing better for, people who are talking about the silliness of this idea. So,
yeah. I understand. A lot of people want me to ask you why you blocked Mo.
who's Mo?
Mo Pesci.
I really don't know who that is.
It's just another guy you blocked.
No, I've only blocked a few people. Well, actually, people who keep spamming on my comments and keep insulting and talk about my mother's vagina and whatnot. Those people are blocked. But yeah, I don't block like
I
there's
don't
this
think he
one
did
kid
that.
who was really annoying. What?
I don't think
Yeah.
he did that, to be honest. He's not the. Maybe he said something you didn't like. He said spamming.
I don't. Yeah, I know.
Other than that, what's good, bro? How's life? How you gotta celebrate
It's
Eid? Are
going.
you still people around you still think you're Muslim, so you gotta celebrate Eid?
No, I'm pretty out. But I do celebrate Eid because I'm not a party pooper, and I do like meat. So
Dang, do you? At least maybe this Eid, instead of slaughtering a sheep, maybe slaughter your ego, and then we're gonna be good. So that was a bad
that
joke.
was that. Yeah, that was a bad one. But
That's
A for effort.
good.
A for effort.
Well, look, I've been asked to ask you a million times to debate with him, but yeah, so with Mo Pesci.
No,
Okay.
I still don't know who that is, but I just tell him what I tell everybody else. I don't think debates are constructive in any way. So I'm gonna have to decline for now.
Well, maybe unblock him and see if you guys could have a productive conversation later on.
Sure. Yeah.
That's my life story. Yeah, exactly. He
All
said
right. Well,
unblock me, maybe we could talk. All right. Mo, I'll put you
thanks
on
everyone
after
for coming to our TED Talk. Are y'all
Thank
gonna
you.
go on a date? No, I don't think so.
Yalla, habibi, take care. Peace.
Bye.